Who am I? What the fuck is happening? Oh. Oh. This fucking team. What is this? Oh my God. I know I'm old, but I remember the 90s. I remember the 90s pretty well. It was nothing like this shit. Oh my God. I have never felt like this after a Knicks win, or at least not since, I mean, this fucking team. This, apologies if you're one of those folks out there that have, kids that you listen to this podcast with. This fucking team. This fucking team they're just special. It's just a special group. As I see, Benji Riddle gives his grades for today. I'm struggling because that was arguably the game of the year in the NBA. Double overtime game between the best team in the league and the Boston Celtics, who gave the New York Knicks everything they could handle tonight, coming off of a really, really unpleasant experience against the Brooklyn Nets. You knew the Boston Celtics were going to come out tonight, and they were, forget laying down and dying. You knew the Boston Celtics tonight were going to come out and just give you everything they had, everything that they were capable of giving. And yeah, let's get it out of the way now. I know that we're missing Malcolm Brogdon, who used to be a candidate for Sixth Man of the Year. Thanks for participating. I know they were missing him, and I know they were missing Big Bob. I would actually argue that not having Robert Williams was a benefit to the Boston Celtics tonight. We'll get into all that later. But, yeah, they were fine. They were missing Brogdon. They had everybody else. And God knows that team has withstood losses before. They were the best team in the league last year without Malcolm Brogdon. The Knicks won the game of the year in double overtime. And they did so without the guy who 5 nights ago I was sitting on here and talking about, well, wait a minute. Why isn't Jalen Brunson in the MVP conversation? And then I wrote an article about it and I went through it. I'm like, he's got to get some votes. Might only be some fifth place votes, but he's got to get some votes. Should have been an all-star. May still have a chance at All-NBA. They were missing that guy. The Knicks were missing that guy. The team that was not supposed to win 40 games this year, they were missing that guy into Boston, into the team that has been for essentially a season and a half now, the best team in the league. And they just won that game in double overtime. And they won it. And they won it because they have a kid. And apologies if anybody who's in their early 20s takes offense to that statement. But Emmanuel Quickly, I don't even know. What is he, 20? Was he 22, 23? Whatever the hell he is. He's a kid. He's a third-year player in the NBA. He's 25th pick in the draft. They have a kid who doesn't know that you're supposed to play by a script in the NBA. That there's an order to things. right? There's an order to things. And if you are the sort of player that you come in and yeah, I know he was, a top 10 prospect, but you come in and things go so poorly for you that you have to come back for a second year, even at Kentucky, and you have to come off the bench for a period of time. And, you were supposed to be the point guard, and then like that didn't really work out. You got to play another position. And yeah, most people say you're going to be in the second round, probably somewhere in the 40s. And you end up going 25th. But again, you went 25th because why? Because Worldwide West has an old relationship with the good old boys at Kentucky. And he just wanted his guy. Foolish guy that he was, right? Running a basketball team for the first time. Get me Emmanuel quickly. Silly. Nonsense. Put your shirt on, Wes. That's why he was the first round pick at all, right? Okay. And then you come in and you are not supposed to get time on the team, but you do get time. And you make an imprint. You make a real impact as a rookie to the point where there were some notions about like, hey, maybe we should just give this kid the reins, right? But no, you don't do that, right? Because he's not a real point guard, right? He's 25th pick in the draft. He's a little guard. He's like, he doesn't get to the rim. He doesn't that's not a starting point guard in the NBA. Let's go sign Kemba Walker instead. That's a much better idea. That's the script, right? That's the script the Knicks have to follow. Go sign the old point guard who's from New York City. Give him the reins. Well, how'd that work out for you? And then, after that goes up in smoke, you give Quickly the reins. Looks pretty good the end of last season. Coming into this season, no. And look, it got us Jalen Brunson, right? The Knicks, and this is the irony, right? Talk about the irony. Talk about so much of a storyline wrapped up in one night. The Knicks' lack of faith in Emmanuel Quickly, it's not the only reason that Jalen Brunson is here, but it's a big reason because obviously they felt they needed a starting point guard. And oh, by the way, they did need a starting point guard. And we love Jalen Brunson, and I hope nobody takes what I just said as anything bad about against Jalen Brunson. But it still was, in essence, a lack of faith in Emmanuel Quickly. Now, Quickly started out the year, wasn't shooting it that well, doing everything else okay. Again, there's a script to this. And if you're a third-year player and you're kind of iffy, right? And the Knicks apparently looked at him as kind of iffy because they were taking calls and they were making calls on him. That happened. The guy that we just watched be the best player on a floor on the same court as Jason Tatum, who's going to finish third or fourth in the MVP voting this year. Emmanuel Quickly was the best guy on the floor with Jason Tatum. And you know what the bitch of it is? It didn't seem silly at all to anyone who's been watching this kid since he got drafted. Because through all of the trials and tribulations and ups and downs and lack of belief and playing 9 minutes against the Los Angeles Lakers or whatever it was last season, the ridiculous number. How about this? Let's give Tibbs Coach of the Year. You know why? All the times he buried Quickly on the bench and didn't play him enough minutes, it gave him enough energy. To play 55 minutes tonight. He would have played another 5 if he had to. This game went to triple overtime. Didn't follow the script. Never wavered. Never said, you know what? My team's trying to trade me. Maybe I'm gonna count. No, that's when he picked up his game. And while he has been excellent at all of the other components of basketball since really the beginning of the year, and for the most part since he was drafted, although God knows he's improved a great deal in his 2+ years here, almost 3 years. He wasn't shooting it, and he wasn't really scoring at an efficient rate. And like at the end of the day, if you're going to be a big-time player in the NBA, we could wax poetic about all the things that you do aside from scoring, but if you're going to be a big-time player in the NBA, you got to be able to score. That's especially in the league in the year of our Lord 2023. And then a funny thing happened. He started making shots. He started making more shots and more shots and more shots. Started whatever it was, a handful of games when RJ was out, putting up 20 points a night like it was nothing in the starting lineup. Goes back to the bench, no problem. Not an issue at all. I am going to continue being your third best player. Not close. Even though I'm coming off the bench. And all of that led up to tonight, which is a night. And again, it started off on, well, the first shot of the game, again, it's how it starts is how it ends, quickly with the deep three. But for the most part, and again, I don't want to, this will be taken as disparagement of RJ Barrett. It is not that, because RJ Barrett had a really nice game. He had a really nice game. Not a perfect game, but RJ Barrett had a really nice game. I think he ended up with about 30 points or close to 30 points. Goes without saying they don't win this game without RJ Barrett. But when this game got started off, right, with the ball going to RJ, offense flowing through RJ, and that was a good move, right? Get him going. It was instrumental to them starting off on the right foot. RJ was immaculate in that first quarter. And, of course, Julius Randle, right? Like, Brunson's out. We go through Julius, and now who steps in to Jalen Brunson's place? It's RJ Barrett, secondary offense. That's the script. Except it got to a point where the script wasn't really working, and we were falling behind. And they were in the third quarter, end of the third quarter, they were looking like, I was sitting here preparing. I was like, all right, well, I can still spin this as a positive, right, on the post game, and I'm going to mean it too, because down Brunson, let's not forget that. Let's emphasize on the lead, right? The lead is they were without Brunson. They came into Boston. They gave him hell for a half, and then they slowly let go of the rope, except someone didn't want to follow the script. And it just kept going and going and going. And Emmanuel quickly put this team on his freaking back and won this game for them. He had a career high, finished with, I believe, 38 points, 55 minutes, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, not to mention 4 steals, 2 blocks. I don't think there have been a ton of Knicks in franchise history who have put up that stat line. And, of course, plus 8 in a game they won by 2 in double overtime. That's Emmanuel quickly. There's so much to talk about in this game. There were so many efforts that were really imperfect, right? It was imperfect efforts, but good efforts, solid efforts from Julius Randle. Again, we're like 31 points on 22 shots. Was it Julius Randle's best game? No. Were there some horrifying moments in the second half of the fourth quarter from Julius Randle? Yes. Will we give Julius Randle a pass for, forget 2 nights ago, but for the entire season? Absolutely. Julius Randle was more good than bad in this game, even though he was far from perfect in some key moments. We already sung RJ Barrett's praises. Mitchell Robinson, 13 and 14. Again, they don't win this game without him. Imperfect game across the board. And Josh Hart. How do we forget about Josh Hart? Josh Hart, 10 points, 8 rebounds, says nothing about what his true impact was. But again, these were all imperfect games from all of these players. And you went into Boston and you beat a Boston team in which Jason Tatum went for 40 on 30 shots and in which Jaylen Brown went for 29. And by the way, Al Horford, 6 of 10 from 3. And the Celtics, as a team, 21 3-pointers made tonight. They weren't going to win this game without a perfect game from Emmanuel quickly. And I don't care about the shots that he didn't make or whatever. Perfect game. And you know what the real crazy part of it? I think he was as good on defense as he was on offense. We've been saying it. We've been saying it since October, maybe November at least. He's the best defender on the Knicks. Top to bottom, given his responsibilities, given his role. No, is he the best point of attack guy? No, he's not the best point of attack guy. Can the right guy still take advantage of his size? We saw that once or twice from Smart tonight. It happens. But like pound for pound, he's the best defender on the Knicks. And again, we could say this in a dozen different ways, that they don't win this game without Emmanuel quickly doing this or this or this or this. It's just, and so the game that we just saw from Quickly is why this is such a strange post game for me to try to do, because you have this Quickly game out here, which is its own thing and deserves its own praise. And at the same time, you have this team out here that has won 9 straight games and is seemingly refusing to lose. and has caught lightning in a bottle. And that lightning is real. And they believe in each other, and they play for each other, and they make the right play every time that they're able to. Or at least, let me rephrase that. They don't always make the right play. I'm thinking of Julius Randle in the fourth quarter, but the intention is always there. Even with Julius, when he has his moments, the intention is always there. They're imperfect, but that is why we love them, because they are imperfect. This is the opposite of a super team. And yet they are winning games. And for more than half a season, they have the net rating and the statistical profile and the win total, for what it's worth, of not a super team, but like a championship contender. And I guess the last thing I'll say before we get to the personal injury report and moment of the game, I don't know how the hell I'm going to try to do a moment of the game. I can just read off Emmanuel Quickly's buckets. We'll be here for the next hour. Be well worth our time. I'll say it. Why not us? Why not us? I know it's a different era, and shout out to the people, and someone got on me in my DMs because they were like, I brought up the 2004 Pistons in a post game months ago, and you laughed at me, and I brought him up the other night, and I'm gonna bring him up again now, because again, different era of basketball, but camaraderie, togetherness, effort, and building a team that fits perfectly with one another. Those are things that translate to any era, whether it's 2014, when the San Antonio Spurs, another team that doesn't get talked about enough, as they didn't have a superstar. I understand they have one of the 10 greatest players of all time in Tim Duncan, and another guy who, had he stayed healthy throughout his career, would have an argument for being probably in the top 20 or 25. But Kawhi wasn't there yet, and Tim was past his prime. But again, that team was just built perfectly. They played a style of ball built perfectly, and by the end, they ran roughshod over a legitimate super team. 10 years before that, it was the Pistons. And we've seen some other teams like that throughout history, but those are probably the best examples. You could even go back to the Pistons teams of the late 90s or late 80s, but again, different, really, really different era. The point is that sometimes the whole really is greater than the sum of its parts. Not to say that the parts here aren't very good, but again, the most important part for this Knicks team has been Jalen Brunson all season long, and he wasn't there tonight, and they still won this game. That says something to me. That says a lot to me, and it should say a lot to anyone else in the NBA who's watching and wondering about this team and what can they do? What are they capable of? How high can they go? How far, how deep into the playoffs can they make it? They're making it so. I'm the guy who tries so hard not to get ahead of myself, and they're making it so hard right now because they're just, and they deserve our unbridled optimism with how they're playing. They deserve that. They've earned it. I went back to it a few times over the last couple live streams. They are earning this from all of us. It's so great to be a Knicks fan right now. It is so great to be a Knicks fan right now. And how many times over the years did I just sit there watching 20-point loss after 20-point loss, so far away from relevance, it was staggering. We weren't even in the tunnel. We weren't even at the entrance to the tunnel yet. And now to sit here and be like, it's so great to be a Knicks fan. It is better to be a Knicks fan right now than a fan of any other team in the league. And I could say that, and I can mean it. How wild is that? Whew. Okay. I feel like I just had sex. All right, let's do a personal injury report and moment of the game. First and foremost, personal injury report. presented by our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum. If you are one of, I'm told, something like 2,500 people watching right now or listening tomorrow or watching one of the replays, and you think you might have a case, a personal injury matter, call the law offices of Weiss and Rosenblum today. They are owned and operated by Nick Fan. Barry Weiss, shout out to you. He's also a fantastic attorney. 212-366-6100. Again, 212-366-6100. Or visit weissandrosenblum.com for more information. If you think you might have a case, free consultation. Don't go with a rookie. Go with a veteran. Weiss and Rosenblum. Personal injury report. No Jalen Brunson. Tibbs said before the game he did not think it was serious. My understanding is that there was no MRI taken, which I take to be a good thing. It was, for anybody wondering, different foot. It was listed as a sore foot, different than the ankle that he turned in Miami 2 nights ago. So, I don't know what it is. Let's keep our fingers crossed, because for as amazing as tonight was, this team only goes so far as Jalen Brunson is able to help take them. Not carry them, help take them, because he is part. He's part of the effort. So that's our personal injury report. Moment of the game. I mean, how the hell are you supposed to do a moment of the game with a game like that? I'm gonna try though. I'm gonna attempt. I'm gonna give it the old college try. So they went. Yeah, I think we got to go. Okay. We're going to start in overtime. No, we're going to go one for the end of regulation, one for overtime, and one for double overtime. The end of regulation was the Emmanuel Quickley steal and fast break between 5 and 6 minutes left in the game. That was such a big play. It really helped secure their lead at that time. I thought it was absolutely massive. For the first overtime, we're going to go with the Emmanuel Quickley driving floater that tied the game and sent it into the second overtime. And then in the second overtime, I'm actually going to go with the first shot from Quickley. Because once that was a 30-footer with no hesitation. That was a 30-footer from Emmanuel Quickley that set the tone for the overtime to the point that that shot went down. And I actually said to myself, with over 4.5 minutes left in the overtime period, they're not going to lose this game. Emmanuel Quickley's going to win this game for us. And then he went on to score the first 7 points of overtime. We could sit here and we could name 30 different moments of the game just on offense. There were a ton of big moments on defense too. I'm sure we'll talk about them throughout the night. I'm so excited to get to the Super Chats. Shout out to everyone watching. Shout out to every Knicks fan in the world right now. You earned this. You deserve this. Enjoy this. Enjoy this. Please. It's rare. Let's have some fun. I can't wait to see what is our first Super Chat, and also when is our first Super Chat from. APJP is on the ones and twos tonight. Justin, if you want to give me a sense of maybe if some of these came in before the end of the game, I have no idea. I'll try to decipher for myself. But, yeah. Starting off with Colin Reardon. You talked the other day how Emmanuel Quickley never takes a game off. Now, he never takes a fucking game off. I can't remember a Nick this century I love more. Not going to lie. It's been going back and forth all season for me between Jalen Brunson and Emmanuel Quickley. Between my favorite Nick. And we're going to have to call Jalen Brunson Wally Pipp after tonight. Because Emmanuel Quickley stole my favorite, my heart. This was okay. So these Super Chats are starting at halftime, apparently. And then we got a few more. Okay, let's keep it going. Colin, thank you for starting us off tonight. Robert Cross, of course. It's your boy, John. Marcus Smart belongs in a circus because he's a straight-up clown. The officiating was not good tonight. I did think that it equalized over the course of the game. I've said it before about Marcus Smart. He's a player that if he was on my team, I would absolutely love him. Maddening player. But how do you not love him if he's on your team? And how do you not absolutely despise him if you have to play against him? But yeah, a little bit of a clown show at times by the refs tonight. Thanks, Robert. Robert with another one. First time, long time, John. I don't want to hear about IQ ceiling anymore unless we're talking about the rafters and MSG. That is the ceiling. Hashtag 53 wins. Another one from Robert's just pumping them out. Thank you, my friend. I knew I could count on you in a game like this. It's your boy, John. The New York Knicks are NBA title contenders. You force this on all of us, Robert. Your chicanery. You take responsibility for this. How does that feel? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen. Hashtag 53 wins. Hashtag we now. I just, again, I don't know how we could look at this team right now and say they are definitely not going to win a playoff series against that team. There's one team that I still fear the hell out of in our conference. I don't even want to think about the West, although a weird year from the West. There's one team that I still fear the hell out of in our conference, and it's the team that, again, has the best player in the world. And you want to talk about a team that the parts make a lot of sense. I know they lost yesterday to end their, or 2 nights ago, whatever it was, to end their winning streak. But the Bucks are, I think the Bucks are going to win the championship. Sitting here right now and saying that, if I had to make a pick, I would pick the Bucks. But again, even Milwaukee, how could we sit here and be like, oh yeah, the Bucks are going to like roll over us in a series? That would be disrespectful. That would be disrespectful to what they're doing. As far as Emmanuel quickly ceiling, I'll save my thought on that for a little bit later because I'm sure we're going to get a lot of IQ love. Andrew's texting me that I am a jerk because I am not predicting that we're going to win the championship. Thank you, Robert. Another one from Robert. First time, long time, John. More than a few of us said IQ could be the starting point guard over Point Burks. Just saying. Hashtag 53 wins. It was, listen, Robert, in my defense, as someone who has defended this coach up and down, left and right since the day he was hired, and throughout all of the trials and tibulations, see what I did there? Last year, I said it in the moment, and I will say it again, and I said it throughout the summer, continuing to start Alec Burks at point guard and not turning to Emmanuel quickly in, I mean, at least the middle of the season, you could argue it was ridiculous earlier than that, but to me, it became ridiculous around the middle of the season, later, maybe as we went to the last third of the season. I said it at the time. It was ridiculous at the time. It's still ridiculous. I'm glad they rectified it for the most part. Thank you, Robert. DJ MKC. Emmanuel, pronounced Emmanuel, Jalen quickly. Thank you, DJ MKC. I mean, I'm just here for all the IQ love tonight. It's not going to get old. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. I don't want Joel Embiid here, ever. Money Mitch is the New York Knicks. Hashtag 53 wins. Mitch was big tonight. And where Mitch struggled tonight, which, and this is partially Mitch, but I think it's mostly just the scheme the Knicks play. And again, it's the NBA in 2023. When you face teams that can go 5 out credibly, you are like, you're gonna have to pick your poison, especially when they could go 5 out and they have an MVP candidate and an All-NBA player in terms, and like just the offensive skill sets of Tatum and Brown. So when you have that and you have the 5 out situation, they're impossible to fully guard. And to the extent that Mitch struggles with that, that's part scheme, I think, and Benji would be the better person to talk about this than me. I would say it's mostly scheme, less Mitch. Is he perfectly suited for that even regardless? No. And it's not a coincidence that, like, going into the year, the teams that were talked about as like the quote unquote contenders, Boston, Milwaukee, Golden State, and the Clippers, I would have put those as the top 4 coming into the season. All 4 of those teams have an option to go to in terms of a lineup where they could either switch everything or, like, they're not going to get killed by 5 out. And they're also, not only are they not going to get killed by 5 out, but they're also going to be able to keep teams honest enough on the boards. Now, here's where we'll give Mitch his flowers. He made them pay on the boards tonight. And if you're going to go against a team that is playing Al Horford to become a 5-out team, you have to make them pay on the boards. And he did. Was he perfect? No, he wasn't perfect, but he was very, very, very good. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you. Seriously, man. I don't thank you enough. Jesse M, quite possibly the most impressive win in 10 years. I am at a loss for words. We said 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, we had this conversation, the most impressive win. How many times this season have I come up here after a game and said, holy shit, that might be the most impressive win of the season? Or that might be the most impressive win we've had in several seasons. Like, there's been a few of them, including another game, two other games you could even argue, but at least one other game against Boston. Man, I'm at a loss for words too, Jesse. I am. Thank you, man. Robert Cross, it's your boy John. No more dark horse talk about the Knicks. We are as much of a contender as Milwaukee and Boston. # we now. Do you hear me? # we now. I think someone should check on Robert. I feel like Robert is like lying in the middle of a room. He's passed out, and there's like, he's frothing at the mouth. I worry about you, Robert. I know you're turning a big number soon. So just checking in on you, man. Just checking in on you. Don't have a heart attack. New Gizzle, IQ 6th man of the year. I called it in September. Good job by you. I said it on the halftime. I will double down because it's some praise that I could give. I give myself a half pat on the back for this. I wrote before the season that the one Knick that I felt pretty confident would end up on an awards ballot, some awards ballot, would be Immanuel Quickley. I wrote it. I said I predicted top 3 for him. We could throw that out the window. He's the 6th man of the year. And he proved it. He's been proving it, in fairness. Shout out to XJ for his great thread the other day during the week. But the betting odds, I believe Sam Quinn tweeted out this earlier today. The betting odds between him and Brogdon are even. Where I feel like an idiot is I was on a pod with, I don't know if it was with Andrew or with Jeremy or someone, but we were going through the odds like a month or two ago. And I was like, man, it's like 100-1 odds. Like, really? That seems disrespectful. Good job, New Gizzle. And he is now the favorite. Yes, he is. Thank you, Andrew, for that text. Let's keep it going here. Thank you, by the way, to everybody watching, everybody contributing. We're going to get to everybody tonight. This is great. Barry Craver. Whoever convinced Leon to draft Immanuel Quickley deserves to be a GM somewhere. There's not enough to say about the guy tonight. Let's go. So I went on, shout out to Sean with a W, hosting our Knicks Twitter Spaces that was yesterday afternoon. And I was just kind of like going through like some guys that have made the All-Star team in like recent memory. Guy like Jeff Teague made an All-Star team as kind of like a small guard, and he was the starting point guard on a team that won 60 games. But, he made the All-Star team. Fred VanVleet made the All-Star team. It was last season, right? You want to go back a little bit further. Like Sam Cassell, again, a guy who like spent a decent chunk of his career or some part of his career as a 6th man, but he was a starter. But he was always like kind of like, he was never the engine for a team, but he was a guy that if he was on your team, like it led to winning. Like he made an All-Star team. Like the difference between all of these guys and Immanuel Quickley, at least in terms of where Immanuel Quickley is now and where he seems to be headed, because again, he is in his 3rd season. It's his 3rd season. 3rd. The difference is opportunity. That's all. It's just opportunity. And we know he has the skill set. There's all of the holes that people used to point at. I know not a lot of Knicks fans because people have been as universally high on him as I think any Knick in recent years. But the holes that people wanted to point to, like he's filled pretty much all of them. Like, he could create offense. Just watch the tape of that game that we just saw tonight. He could create offense. He makes all the passes. He could shoot it. Defensively, we don't even have to talk. It's not a conversation. I don't know if he's ever going to get an opportunity to play that many minutes and score that many points and accumulate that many counting stats. I don't know, but like there's a lot of ways to be a star in the NBA. That dude's a star. I know I said that at least one post game last year. That dude's a star. Thanks, Barry. Hush Zoo. LFG. Everybody's just making noises now. I love it. There's nothing else to do. My God, did I let out when they won that game? I'm surprised I can get a knock on the door. I'll just say that. Or my wife coming in here looking just absolutely very upset. I did not get either of those things, thankfully. Maybe it's coming. Thanks, Hush. Jibo, RJ hugging IQ is what this team is all about. I spoke about this, I think, a decent amount against Miami, but it's worth doubling down again on. You cannot have this level of success without complete and total love and trust in one another as a team. And they have that. They have it in spades. They believe in each other. Right now, there is no selfishness on this team. And like, that's not a shock because the only guys playing for a new contract are Quickly and Obi. And like, Obi, God love him, he seems just like the most positive guy in the world, and he would never let. I mean, if there's anyone who has an excuse to be like not on the same page as everybody else, it's Obi, and he hasn't been that, even if he's shown some frustration a couple times on the court. Quickly's the guy, right? Quickly's the guy who had the excuse to not be rowing in the same direction. RJ just got paid. Jalen Brunson just got paid. Quickly could have looked at the situation and be like, man, I've been better than RJ Barrett. Like, why are you trying to trade me? And you just paid him. I understand they couldn't extend him last offseason. I understand the first opportunity to extend Emmanuel Quickly isn't going to be here until the summertime. But like how they seem to be treating him, like, again, taking and making trade calls. He was the guy who had the excuse to divert course. Nope. He just played better. That's all. He just played better. And he was already playing great. Thanks, Shibo. Hamdi M, not enough words in the English language to describe Emmanuel Quickly. 55 minutes. The man is a beast. I am going to have to do, I think Andrew's watching. Andrew, if you're watching, if you want to give me a little, maybe send it via text. How many Knicks over the last, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years have played 55 minutes in a basketball game? I can't imagine it's been too many. But yeah. This is a quote from Julius Randle. Julius Randle, who has played in every game this year, joked he may need some load management on Tuesday. I'm contemplating it right now. Julius Randle's going to make an All-NBA team. And I think I don't think he's going to, I think he's joking about it. I think he's going to play. If he plays all 82, I know this night's about Emmanuel Quickly, but like, if Julius Randle plays all 82, that's so special. We got a little ways to go, but we'll see. I know they're playing the Hornets, so. Jeremy Chase, give IQ all the monies. I am psyched. Great game, great win. Go Knicks. F Boston. F Marcus Smart. Woo! Great comment, Jeremy. Give him all the money. Give him all the money. Kevin Danishevsky. I made noises. We all made noises. IQ has arrived. He had arrived. He arrived for the national stage, as they said on the broadcast. Good job. That was a great line when they said that. I thought the broadcast was really good, by the way, tonight. JJ Redick, I enjoyed a lot. Oh my God, I'm forgetting who the lead guy was. Was it Mark Jones? And then honestly, I thought RJ was okay. There was some definite Knicks LOL, not LOL Knicks, but there was definitely little jabs and things from RJ tonight. But Richard Jefferson. But I thought for the most part it was good Booth. Anyway, give that man his bag. This team is special. No longer putting a ceiling on anything on anyone on this team. I don't know what else to say. I mean, again, this is the game, right? This is the game where we have to finally, even if like again, I am Mr. No Fun. Ryan Ruocco. Sorry. Thank you. He was the lead guy. I'm the one who keeps hedging and hesitating and the whole thing. I think this is the game, no matter how level-headed you want to be, the notion of putting ceilings on the team kind of, for Knicks fans at least, I think it has to go out the window. So here are guys who have played 55 or more minutes. Carmelo Anthony played 55 minutes in 2013 at Milwaukee. Chris Duhon, Ruocco. Andrew's texting me that Ruocco is the pronunciation. What did I say? Ryan Ruocco? I screwed that up. I'm sorry. Ryan Ruocco. Thank you, Andrew. Anyway, Duhon, 56 in 2009. Quentin Richardson, 56 in 2006. And Marbury, 55 in 2006. So right up there, top guys over the last 17 years. Great stuff. Manny Campos, what's going on, Manny? I no longer like Quickly in his role. That man needs to be a starter and give him the bag. 9 straight wins. Is this the real life? Let's go Knicks. I don't know if this is the real life anymore. I don't even know. Those are all this century. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, those. So Emmanuel Quickly, one of 5 Knicks this century to play 55 more minutes in a game. It's wild. Man, he's good enough to be a starter. We know he's good enough to be a starter. Here's the thing. Going to sound like Tibbs. It's not about who starts. It's about who finishes. Emmanuel Quickly is on the floor to finish games. He plays a ton of minutes when he's got it going. And even when he doesn't maybe have it going, obviously he still plays a lot of minutes. But I hear what you're saying from this perspective. It is kind of ridiculous that 2 nights ago, he only played 22 minutes against Miami, right? And, like, he'll never play less than 22 minutes. Miami was an interesting matchup, and I think Tibbs was enjoying going with the size, especially because, like, they're really good at hunting mismatches, and, like, they could do that with the guys that they put on the floor, Jimmy in particular. You could say that there is, like, never an excuse for Emmanuel Quickly to play 22 minutes in a basketball game. That's fair. And if he's a starter, he's probably never going to play 22 minutes in a basketball game. So I hear you. I can't get there just because, like, it's all working so well right now. You know, it's all working so well right now. And, like, the way that, and, like, again, give some credit to Tibbs. He switched up the rotations tonight. You know, Quickly was the guy who was leading the bench minutes. He was doing a great job with that. You know, RJ was kind of essentially on the Brunson minutes plan. I don't know if you want to call it that. And, like, Quickly was on the RJ minutes plan, which is why he played so many minutes. Like, that guy has a big-time role, and he's going to have a big-time role whether he starts or doesn't. I don't know. Maybe someday it gets to that point. I'm fine with the way it is right now. Thanks, Manny. Hamdy M, Cloud 9 in a row, baby. Oh, I think you may have just given me my my newsletter title for tomorrow. Let me write that one down, and I will be sure to give you credit. Thanks, Hamdy. Dan Hidalgo. Just when you think the season can't hit any higher highs. No Brunson, no problem. The surprising thing isn't the win, it's the fact that we can count on this play level night in and night out. Yeah, I think that is probably the best part of it. Yeah. I mean, yeah. How we doing? Yeah, it is the best part of it because, like, I think it's. But here's the thing: I think that specifically is the best part of it for Knicks fans, more so than it would be for fans of another franchise. Not that I can speak about that. I've never rooted for another franchise. But what was so discouraging and just demoralizing for years and years and years and years is our inability as fans to turn on a basketball game and feel like the team that we were going to be watching was going to care about winning nearly as much as we cared sitting at home watching from our couch, not getting paid to play basketball. And there were so many years where the effort level was just like, I mean, it just wasn't there. So, like now, and like the effort level was there 2 years ago. So now we've combined the night to night effort level. But now we've added to it a certain modicum of executionary consistency in terms of like they're executing. Like again, I'll Zach said it, or Zach Lowe wrote it, I think on Friday. This is a team that knows what it wants to get out of every single possession. That's a dangerous thing when you got guys that can execute. So, good stuff, Dan. Sam Frenzel, what's going on, Sam? Missed the game to go to the SZA. I hope I pronounced correctly. I know who you're talking about, although I can't name a single song he or she sings. Concert and Kicking Myself. We ride. I mean, I hope the concert was good at least. Shout out to SZA. SZA. Sam Garcia, what's going on, Sam? How you doing? IQ's a goddamn gamer, man. Let's go. He's the definition of a gamer. There ain't no more gamey gamer than him. I love it. Thanks, Sam. Good to hear from you. Soggy Bun 65, thank you for the generous contribution. So, can we officially say that they're for real? Yes. I mean, we didn't do the stat update after the last game. I am looking forward to doing a stat update after this game. What I will do right now, that it doesn't need advanced stats to fully update this, the Knicks have a record of 39-27. That's a 59.1 winning percentage. That puts them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is the 7th best winning percentage in the league. They have 39 wins. 39 wins is the 6th most wins in the league. Memphis, who's playing right now, is at 38-24. They're going through some stuff down there in Memphis. Although they play Dallas a bunch over the next like 2 weeks. So I kind of would like Memphis to put it together for those games. But like, you know, the crazy part of it is, so you want to say we're like neck and neck with Memphis. Maybe we're a little bit better than Memphis. The freaking East, man. Freaking East. That's the problem. If the Knicks were in the Western Conference, like I wonder how the conversation would be different, because the Western Conference is so strange because it has all these teams where it's like, well, I mean, Phoenix obviously just made a Durant trade, but like a team like Golden State, a team like the Clippers, even if you want to say teams like the Mavs and the Lakers, who it's like you could be like, well, if they put it all together, you know, maybe they could make a run and this and that. And then you got the Knicks, who, like, even after tonight, no one's going to be saying the Knicks are going to win, you know, making any finals runs or even conference finals runs. But listen, let them keep sleeping. Thanks, Soggy Bones. Peter Imhoff, what's going on, Peter? My man, good to see you always chiming in on the Substack. So is IQ really the third best player on this team? Oh, are you asking like should he be higher? No, he's third. He's third. I say with hesitation. I mean, he's different from Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson. I mean, look, Emmanuel Quickley had the night of his lifetime tonight. The game of his lifetime tonight, excuse me. He could do this we know the dude is capable of averaging 20 points a game if he had the opportunity, probably more than that. There is still something to be said for Brunson and Randall going out night after night after night after night, making tough shot after tough shot after tough shot. And like those guys have put the team on their backs in different ways this year. And they've been playing a ton of games too. Especially Randall obviously hasn't missed a game. So like Quickly still third for me, but you know, I'm here for any and all conversations about Emmanuel Quickley right now. Nothing is ridiculous tonight. Absolutely nothing. Not a blessed thing is ridiculous. Thank you, Peter. Sam Garcia again. Pay Emmanuel all them dollars. All right, I've been putting it off for long enough. I will admit it again for anybody who may have missed. I think I admitted this the other night. I'll admit it again. I told Chris Persianen a month or two ago. I forget exactly when it was. Maybe it was earlier than that. I think it was more than 2 months ago. I'm not sure if it was like after a month into the season, but it was definitely over 2 months ago. Whenever it was, I said to Chris Persianen, I will bet you that Emmanuel Quickley tops out at $13 million a year. That is one of the most asinine things that I have ever said. I was a little bit duped by the offensive inconsistency, and I did not think 20 or so games into the season, I thought he would rebound and I thought he would shoot it again, but I didn't think he would shoot it and score and create offense to the level with the level of consistency and at the level of execution where a team would be able to look at him and be like, oh yeah, we could definitely count on him for X level of offensive production, like high level of offensive production, enough to give him like a major contract. I thought through 2 years and 20 games, the kind of like the ups and downs with the shooting, the fact that the 3-point percentage through 2 years and 20 plus games was what it was. I was like, I thought that would be enough to suppress his value, even if he played better or shot better. Let me be specific, shot better over the course of the rest of the year. I was dead wrong. The minimum is 20 a year. And like, I don't know. Is that ridiculous? In terms of, is that too low? Am I wildly underpaying him? I mean, you know what I would do if I was his agent? I would walk into Leon Rose's office on the first day of free agency or the first day that they can negotiate. And I would hand him, and this is going to be disparaging to Evan Fournier, and I don't mean it to be disparaging, but like, and because Evan Fournier can still play basketball, I was actually surprised he didn't play tonight, although I get why he played Deuce instead. Fournier could help a team right now. He's a really good basketball player. Didn't work out for him here for a variety of reasons. Some of them his fault, some of them not his fault. If I was Emmanuel Quickley's agent, I would walk in to Leon Rose's office. I would hand him a picture of Evan Fournier, or maybe I'd just bring Evan Fournier with me and have Evan Fournier hold up a sign. And on the sign, it says $72 million. And then Evan Fournier walks out. Maybe he leaves the sign and then he walks out. You know? And again, we all praised that contract at the time. Or I was okay with that contract at the time. That hasn't aged so well. But yeah, I don't know. Is it 4 for 80? Is it 4 for 90? Does the first number of the contract have to start with a 1 in terms of the total value? We're at the point now where it's like, and I think someone from our team, maybe it was Mensa, maybe it was somebody else. I apologize, I'm not giving credit. If it was Mensa, I'll give, I think it was you, saying like we're at a point. Oh no, you know what? Well, Mensa, I'm sure, said something to this effect, but it was Dan Favale on today's pregame show. Shout out to Andrew. Was saying we're at the point now where like guys who are like your first player off the bench, like 6 men type guys, are going to be getting paid $20 or more million a year. Like that's the way the league's finances are headed. Yeah, so it starts at 20 and goes from there. Thanks, Sam. Hush Zoo with another one. Give IQ whatever he wants. I don't care. I can't believe I doubted him at the beginning of the season. He is the true steal of the draft. FU CBS for that D+ grade. No, not FU CBS. Thanks, CBS, because for as much as I believe that Emmanuel Quickly would have been successful regardless of what grade CBS, you don't think that D+ is pinned up somewhere in Emmanuel Quickly's house, apartment, wherever he lives? Come on. Like, this is a guy that maybe doesn't need any extra motivation, but man, if you give him some extra motivation, come on. Good job, CBS Sports. If that was the blogger who wrote that, I'd probably retire. Jesse D, what's going on, Jesse? This team we've known for a while, but the world knows IQ now. This team just doesn't give up. Yeah, they don't. They don't know how to give up. And here's where I will get in my nightly praise for the head coach. I do think that is, to some extent, when a team has this level of no quit in them, I think to some extent, yes, of course, you need to have the right complexion group of players. I think that is a reflection on the coach to some extent. And it's also how you prepare, and not just prepare game to game, but it's prepare, as Tibbs always talks about. It's like your preparation starts on day one of training camp, and then it goes through the whole year. Thanks, Jesse. Anik Ahmed, RJ's defense was much better tonight, especially at the end. I'm here for some non-quickly talk. Yeah, I thought RJ defended really well. I thought his defense on Jason Tatum at the end of the first overtime period was great. And like, look, they went in the second overtime period, and I think for most of the first overtime period, or some of the first overtime period, definitely the second overtime period, they went with Quickly, Hart, Randall, Mitch. Those four obviously were going to be out there. And then RJ over Grimes, which, like, you know, there were some moments this season, maybe even recently, like right before the All-Star break, where we would have been like, I don't know about that move. I would rather Quentin Grimes out there if we're talking about, well, why is he out there? Well, we need him for defensive purposes. We need him to knock down threes. But it was a good job keeping RJ out there. He deserved to be out there. He was the right move to be out there. Quentin Grimes had a big moment defensively, or a big opportunity defensively. He did not come up big in that moment. It was a funky play, the foul on Jaylen Brown, which contributed to it getting to overtime. Remember all the shit? Remember when the Knicks had a 7-point lead in regulation? Remember that? At the end of regulation with 1 minute and 10 seconds left? Oh, my God. The game, the difference in this postgame, if they would have lost, like, I don't want to think about it. But again, still things to clean up, folks. But no Jalen Brunson. Again, for as much as we could talk about the things that did not go great in this game, the things not named Emmanuel Quickly, no Jalen Brunson. So you don't have your starting point guard. I would not have gotten on here and killed them for nearly blowing a 7-point lead at the end of regulation. Thanks, Anik. Keith! Come on, Keith. What are you doing, man? Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm out of words. What can you say? What is there to say? Knicks effing basketball. I literally never buy a Knicks jersey, but I'm buying one right now. KFS, Knicks Nation. Let's go. I occasionally get questions from, like, you know, fans like who are like, "Hey, I want to buy this jersey," or like oftentimes it's like, "I want to buy my son or my daughter, their first Knicks jersey, but I'm petrified." I think they're maybe looking for like any inside info, like, you think this guy's going to be here in a year? Not that I know anything, but like, how do you not buy an Emmanuel Quickly jersey? But except maybe instead of Quickly on the back, just get him plus Quickly's number. I think that might look good. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, man. Hamdy M, I feel your emotion, John. Ditto. Yeah, special night. Special team. Special performance. Special night. Don't even know. I don't know what else to say. I really don't know what else to say. Thank you, Hamdy. Janky AF ran out of diapers in Florida. Don't care. Go KFS. That's too bad for Florida. Thank you, Janky. GJMKC with another one. How do they expect us to sleep? I have to write a newsletter about this game. How do I put this into words? How do I put this team into words? How do I put this performance into words? How do I put Emmanuel quickly into words? Oh my God. I've never done coke, but I imagine this is what it feels like. What a week, what a team. We don't advocate drug use here. I will not comment. But be happy that the Knicks allow you to feel many feelings without having to resort to the use of hard drugs. Thank you, DJ. Ryan Huang, I don't know why I mispronounced your name. This isn't real. No such thing as an overreaction. IQ is the second coming of Jesus Christ, our Savior. 9 in a row. Hashtag 53 wins. Hashtag Eastern Conference Finals. Normal colored horse. Oh, because we're not the dark horse anymore. We're just like a regular. What's a normal colored horse? Like brown, tan, white? I don't know. Not dark though. Can't be dark. Gray, maybe a gray horse. I like gray horses. Gray horses are pretty. We here. That's all there is to say. Thank you, Ryan. Hayden Freed. Hashtag TFT. This fucking team. I'm irrational. I can't speak. Hashtag 53 wins. Robert, you started something, man. Eastern Conference Finals, Larry O'Brien. I mean, I think maybe the broadcaster said it tonight. Timmy Bontemps from ESPN definitely tweeted about it. I'm sure a lot of people around the league are thinking it. It's the 4-5 matchup. Like, again, we're talking about this team as an Eastern Conference Finals contender, and they deserve that. They deserve that. At the same time, they're going to face a Cleveland team in the first round, and nobody wants to hear this right now, but they're going to face a Cleveland team in the first round that is damn good. Damn good. And again, this I've been saying, I feel like a broken record by now. We are in a situation where it is very possible that 5 of the 6 or 7 best teams in the league are in the Eastern Conference. Certainly 3 of the top 4 MVP finishers are going to be from the Eastern Conference. And I can see a scenario where Donovan Mitchell finishes 5th. And it's just Jokic from the West. I could see that scenario. So this is the East right now. This is the freaking East. But I like our chances in that 4 or 5. And if it is, and this is what I was alluding to before, what the announcers were saying, what some people on Twitter and what a lot of people around the league are going to be thinking, if it is Boston, New York in the second round, I don't know if we're going to get it. Boston would need to win some more games in Milwaukee. We'll see. But that would be tasty. Tasty. Thank you, Hayden. Austin Z, what's going on, Austin? I have chills from watching a special player have his coming out party on national television. When IQ had the ball at the end of the game, we were in good hands. That's the takeaway. I think more than anything that I'll have from this night when I think back to it, because I will remember this night for a long time. I think everybody watching is going to remember this night for a long time. The takeaway that I'm going to have, and it was, you want to talk about irrational? In the second overtime, again, he hit that three. And I was like, we're going to win the game. Even when like Boston, like think about the second overtime. Like I know we've been just talking in generalities, and I'm not like focusing on the game because like it's quite frankly really tough to do at the moment, but I'm going to try. So that game, Tatum made a driving dunk with 1:14 left in double overtime to put the Celtics within 3 points. And then that's when Mitchell Robinson made only one of the free throws, and then Tatum made a driving layup. He made that layup, 131, 129. Like, and then the Knicks had a shot clock turnover, and thankfully they won it with defense at the end. But, like, even then, down the stretch, I was like, they're just not going to lose this game. And I didn't think they were going to lose the game because, again, overtime starts. Emmanuel Quickley, 30-foot three-pointer, puts him up by 3. Then, Emmanuel Quickley, dunk. My God, that dunk. When the seas parted. Woo. 126, 121. And then after a couple Marcus Smart free throws and then a really crazy couple of possessions, RJ Barrett maybe will be a little bit more careful on the inbounds next time. Quickly made a driving layup, which I think, I don't know, maybe I should redo the moment of the game, but like that driving layup to put him up 128 to 123. I think for me, that was the moment where I was like, okay, they're not going to lose this game. They were really solidified more than even before. Just had that effect. And then shout out to Josh Hart, made 2 big free throws down the stretch of this game. Shout out to Julius Randle, made a couple big free throws in the overtime period of this game. And wouldn't you know it, Mitchell Robinson did make that one free throw. He did make the one free throw. So that was important. Thanks, Austin. Jesse M. Everyone thank our Lord and Savior, Wesley, for IQ. The dude had never run a basketball team before. He never ran a team before. And he stood up on the damn table. I don't know if he had his shirt on at that point or not, but stood on the damn table and pounded it. Get me Emmanuel Quickley. God bless him. Thanks, Jesse. Haitian Ferg. This team is ready now. Now. They are playoff ready now. They're getting grimy, nasty, straight gutter mentality. This team is in New York in every sense. So proud. Let's go Knicks. We continue to have conversations about, best Knicks team since, most fun Knicks team since, all those sorts of things. I don't know. Andrew maybe want to cover his ears. 2012-13 never felt like this. For me. It was different. And that team won 54 games. This team is not going to win 54 games. Unless they lose one game the rest of the way, they're not going to win 54 games. 50 games is, my Lord. They have to go 11-5 and they're going to win 50 games. Let that sink in. Whew. But 12-13, really, really good team. Different league. That team was really built perfectly for that league at that time. And they helped revolutionize the game with how they shot the 3 and the lineups that they played. Melo with the 4, the whole thing. And they just blitzed a lot of teams. This team's different. And in terms of being, like, as Haitian as you say, being like a New York team, like quintessential New York. It's like this is a throwback to the 90s and then the championship teams in every way. Except, man, I don't know what the 90s teams, it did feel like when they went up against a truly great player, Most of the time it was Jordan, but there were others. It was like, there were a lot of games where they came up on the short end of the stick. Lot of games where they came up big too. 2 finals runs. What was it? 2 more Eastern Conference Finals runs. Or 3 more. Am I forgetting one, 2 or 3 more? My brain is mush right now. Yeah, you got to win. You got to, and this team hasn't done a single thing in the playoffs yet. So again, getting ahead of ourselves. But this team does seem to have the ability to come up big, regardless of who is on the other end of the court. No fear, no backing down, no willingness to accept, like, oh, we're just not as good. If that's not New York, we're a stubborn bunch of motherfuckers. And this team is a stubborn bunch of guys. No script. Throw the script out the window. That's what it comes down to. Thank you, Haitian. Rob DeLuzma. Hey, JM. They better put some respect on the Knicks name now. I think, listen, I think after this game, I have a feeling we're gonna start to really see some national media give in. And as far as like content creators who cover other teams, I'm not sure it's just a cute story anymore. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate you, man. Kenny Rose, oh my God, IQ is the third leg. Wow, what chemistry. Yeah, you know what conversations we're not having right now? We're not having? We're not talking about? We're not talking about, but what superstar are they going to trade for? Nor should we. Nor should we be having that conversation right now. And I'm not sure we should be having that conversation this summer. This team is good. Thanks, Kenny. Greg Moran. The Knicks are great. Thank you for the generous contribution, Greg. The Knicks are great. Our best player didn't play tonight, and we won to go up 2-0 against the Celtics this week. Let's fucking go Knicks. I'll start replacing that with freaking. Let's freaking go KFS. I love every member of the team, including you, J Mac and GMAC. GMAC is off tonight. But yeah, APJP's on. So shout out to Justin Palmer on the 1s and 2s. But thanks for the love, man. Really appreciate you. Truly. Jamie N. Most beautiful thing about the Knicks team is they don't have a superstar. Perfect timing. I love what this happens once a night where I'll make a point and then there'll be a comment that'll come like right after it and be like, oh, that's the point that I just made. Down their best player. They work together to make it happen. Let's freaking go. Hashtag IQ is him. In terms of depth, and in terms of functional depth, which is what I was talking about before, how well the pieces fit, and how neatly everything fits together, and how there's really no weak spots on the floor. Tonight you could argue that we saw the Knicks' biggest weak spot in action, which is they didn't really hit their threes. The Knicks tonight shot 36.6% from deep, which is like league average. They missed a lot of threes. They made a lot of them late, mostly thanks to Emmanuel quickly. But like for a while there, they really weren't hitting their threes, and that was hurting them. Other than that, like I'm not really sure how you put together a more functional basketball team. And it really just comes down to, if you want to, again, turn to the superstar conversation, do they need a superstar, the whole thing? Superstars, because of their unique abilities oftentimes it's a physical part of it. Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard. What do these guys all have in common? They're big. So you can't take them away, right? You can't put a certain defender on them and like one-on-one or like hedge or anything like they're big enough that if they want to get their shot off, they're going to get their shot off. I'm thinking earlier today, Kevin Durant, good defense played on Kevin Durant down the last possession of that game for Phoenix. Didn't matter. It's Kevin freaking Durant. He's arguably one of the 2 or 3 most unstoppable offensive players of all time. That's what makes superstar. Now, occasionally you will get smaller guards who have such freakish physical ability in other ways. A young Derrick Rose is an example that comes to mind. But those guys are like really rare. But like the thing with the Knicks is that Jalen Brunson doesn't play like a small guard. He's 6'1". He doesn't play like he's 6'1". And he has such maneuverability and such guile and he does have a high level of skill. I mean, people have been pointing it out recently, where it's not just this craftiness. He has a dynamite first step. So, and then when you combine that with the skill level of the shot making and all that, so he doesn't really play like a small guard. And then when you have Julius Randle playing and hitting shots like he's hitting shots, and I know he didn't have his best game, but like, dude still made some buckets, big buckets. Like you can't take that guy away. You know how you take that guy away? You force him into unforced errors. And that is an improvement that Julius Randle needs to make. But that's not like, if that's the last bridge for Julius Randle to cross, to be like fully aware and like, hey, if I turn my back, I'm going to get the ball stolen from me, and I need to like be more aware of that and all these things. Like, we've seen Julius Randle continue to improve. Why can't he continue to improve at that? And then when you have big game players who can both hit threes and put the ball on the floor in a really serious way, and then when you have 2 potential third cogs in Emmanuel Quickley and a guy who I still don't think we've seen anywhere close to his ceiling in RJ Barrett, all of a sudden you're talking about a team where it's like, okay, no, they don't have Kevin Durant, they don't have Kawhi Leonard, they don't have, these sorts of players, but they could just beat you in a lot of ways. And the nice thing about what they do, and the last thing I'll say before we move on to the next comment, is like, I think they're trending in a direction where it's not perfect. It's still a lot of ISO, obviously, down the stretch, and it's still a lot of Brunson, a lot of Randle, but like, it's not like when you watch a lot of other teams, if it's the last 5 minutes of the game, it's like, okay, it's either that guy, one guy that's going to get all the shots, or 2 guys who are going to get all the shots. And like the best teams, like a team like the Celtics tonight, what was the best play of their game? The best play of their game was when Jason Tatum drove, forced the help. Mitch came over to help, kick out immediately to Al Horford in the corner, sunk the 3 that put the Knicks down 2, and Emmanuel quickly tied it and sent the game to double overtime. Like, that's brilliant basketball. That's beautiful basketball. That was the best play they made all night, and it wasn't a shot by Tatum, but it was Tatum using his superstar abilities to get that open shot for Horford. Like, that doesn't always happen when you have a superstar. A lot of times a superstar, because he's a superstar, is going to take that tough shot. And look, again, I'm spinning my wheels here because like there are a lot of times where Brunson is going to take the tough shot, or Randle is going to take the tough shot. But I think with this team, their togetherness and their unselfishness, they really have a chance to continue elevating on an offensive level where you're just not going to be able to anticipate, oh, the ball is definitely going here, or this person's definitely going to take the shot. I'm not saying they don't have more work to do. They do have a lot more work to do. But if you want to talk yourself into a ceiling that doesn't involve a superstar, like, I don't know. A lot of talent on this team. A lot of talent. Thanks, Jamie. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Great to hear from you, my friend. Thank you for the very generous contribution. I thought maybe that last Sixers win was it, but this right here is the signature win of the season. To think the knock earlier was that we can't beat anyone good, LOL. I'm officially on the Eastern Conference semifinals bandwagon. I love it. Okay, that's more measured than some, but that's totally fine. Thibodeau saying after the game that Quickly is his guy, and then Bondi really quick tweeting out the inside joke is that Quickly was the first player to help Thibodeau off the court after Tibbs got decked by Julius in Miami. Signature win. Signature win of the season. Yes. But in terms of like no good wins or no wins against we can't beat anyone good, this team is now won in Boston twice. They have won in Miami. They've won 3 in a row against Boston. So you could pick any of those. You could pick the home Boston win if you want. You could do the win. You could do the Philly win. The Philly win after the Clippers lost. That was a big one. The win at home, the Fournier game. And you could do, I think, probably certainly the second Cleveland game, which they needed to end that 4-game losing streak. But even the first Cleveland game. Remember how big that first Cleveland game felt? My God, talk about a different part of the season. But felt coming off that Dallas game. That was big. So they have like 5 or 6, but I agree with you. This was the signature win. This was the signature window. Hush-zoo. Celtics don't want to see us. I don't care. I'm so confident against them. They better pray they don't see us. Man, the Knicks giving the NBA some of its best games. They are the best story in the NBA right now. Better than the Kings. Better than the Bucks. All due respect to them and their 16 straight wins that I know just ended. Knicks are the best story in the NBA. And we'll see where it goes. How cool is it to be a fan of the team that is the best story in the NBA? How you like them apples? Thanks, Hush. Frank Miranda. Mac, it's your boy Frank from Patreon. Thank you for the generous contribution, Frank. What a game. The impact Brunson has on Randall is palpable. I'm a Debbie Downer, but this team has a legit shot at the Eastern Conference Finals. If you're saying that, Frank, if you, who I believe picked the Knicks to win 34 games before the season started, was it 34 or 35 or 36, something in that range? If you're saying they have a shot to make the Eastern Conference Finals, that means something. Only team that scares me is the Bucks. That's it. Let's freaking go. The Bucks are the one. The Bucks are the one. And they should scare you because they're a scary freaking team behind that. They are a team that is, I think, uniquely built. I don't want to say to beat just the Knicks, but they are really well built to give the Knicks fits. We'll see. As far as Boston, I would be excited about the matchup. I hope we get it. That's all I'll say. I hope we get it. Thank you, Frank. Carolina Knicks fan, just give IQ the trophy already. Also, F Boston. Yeah. The race is over. 6 Man of the Year award. What do they call the 6 Man of the Year award now? Is it like the I forget because they named all the awards after different people. Was it like I'm assuming they named it after Hondo, but maybe not. No, not Hondo. Who'd they name it after? Wasn't it named after Manu Ginobili? Andrew, let me know if you're watching this. Thank you, Carolina Knicks fan. Greg Film Stuff with another one. I thought this was a loss without Brunson, but I'm shocked. Going toe-to-toe with Boston and getting the win without our best player just speaks volumes as to where we are in the East. Huge kudos to Randall for not fouling out in overtime. Can we talk about the Randall game a little bit? So Julius Randall played 47 minutes, had 31 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 7 turnovers, and yes, finished with those 5 fouls. Again, not Julius Randall's best game, to be clear. Not Julius Randall's best game. But, made some big plays. The free throws to put them up by 1 with 44 seconds left in overtime. Those were obviously very big free throws. He also had, after everything went wrong down the stretch of regulation, it is Hondo. I knew I wasn't crazy. John Havlicek. Thank you, Justin. So yeah, give him the John Havlicek award right now. The first offensive possession the second offensive possession of overtime, Julius Randle did a nice job drawing the help and immediately kicked to Emmanuel Quickly in the corner, who just missed a 3. But that was like a really, really, really great possession. And I didn't think we really got any other poor Randle possessions, like overt poor Randle possessions, for the rest of overtime or double overtime. Maybe I'm forgetting one. But I'm just scrolling through now, overtime and double overtime. His process improved after a rough go of things, down the stretch. So yeah. Thanks, Craig Film Stuff. And he also, by the way, that's what I forgot. He did make 2 key free throws with 16 seconds left to put them up by 3. Game still went to overtime. Annoying, but like those 2 free throws were huge. Juanon, what's going on? I know where this is going. If you're complaining after tonight, please never root for this team again. IQ just locked up the 6th man of the year tonight. Shame on ESPN for putting Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Breen on the late game and giving us the Jabroni Tonys. Oh, no. Friend of the pod, Richard Jefferson. I hope you didn't hear that one. Nah, I'm cool calling Richard Jefferson a jabroni. I love you, Richard, but like you're kind of a jabroni. He admitted it. He admitted he gives the Knicks shit. Like this is not, not saying anything out of turn here. And I like JJ Redick. I thought JJ Redick did a nice job. And Ryan Ruocco, I thought did a nice job too. But yeah, it would have been to have Breen and Van Gundy on that call, man. That's the only way. That's the only way tonight could have gotten better. Thank you, Juanon. And shout out to I forget if it was girlfriend or wife who chimed in on the last post game. Shout out to her too. Robert Cross, is it fair and reasonable to say that 53 wins is a reasonable stretch goal? If so, let's enjoy each and every single win. Hashtag 53 wins. I still don't think it's reasonable, Robert. But then again, reason has gone out the window a long time ago. I think 50 wins is reasonable. So they are. Great call by Ace Zulo here. Never forget, and credit to Ace Zulo, the Knicks signing Marcus Morris is essentially the thing that led to the drafting of Emmanuel Quickly, because it was the Clippers pick that got it. You want to do a quick schedule check-in? So the Knicks now have a record of 39-27. They can go 11-5 the rest of the way and win 50 games. I can't believe I just said those words out loud, but I did. Here's the remaining schedule. Talk about, again, we keep waiting for this team to let down. How crazy would it be if they went home and they somehow lost to Charlotte? I don't expect that to happen. I can't believe I just put that out into the universe. But, take that game seriously. If you could beat Charlotte, then you got to go 10-5 in the last 15 games. Here's the last 15, which, by the way, have nine times. 9 games on the road. Not that stopped this team before. 9 games on the road and 6 at home. At Sacramento, at Clippers, at Lakers, at Portland. Denver, home. Minnesota, at home. At Miami, at Orlando. Houston, at home. Miami, at home. At Cleveland. That'll be the game of the year. And then Washington at home, at Indiana, at New Orleans, Indiana at home. Something to just keep an eye on, worth noting. There was maybe some thought that at one point, or there was some thought maybe earlier this season that Washington might be out of it by the end of it. The way things are going there, it looks like they're going to be playing for play-in positioning all the way down the stretch. Obviously not that the Knicks shouldn't still beat the Washington Wizards at home. They should. But, like, that's a tough slate. Especially the 4-game road trip. At Sacramento, at Clippers, at Lakers, at Portland. I know this is going to be sacrilegious to you, Robert. I know that. I would probably take 2-2 on that trip. If I'm being honest, I would probably take 2-2. I know there's not going to be any LeBron James, but like the Lakers are playing well right now. Their team makes a lot more sense, even though Anthony Davis is the only featured guy. Sacramento, really tough to play all year, especially at home. Clippers, I know they were scuffling for a bit, but I will always fear the Clippers. And let's go see our old friend Cam at Portland. Like, none of those are gimme games. And then your reward after that 4-game road trip is to come home and play the MVP of the league in Nikola Jokic. So, like, that 5-game stretch right there. And then, oh, by the way, 2 more against Miami. And, like, anyone who's just counting those Miami games as wins, no. At Cleveland, look, we've gone down the schedule enough. 10-5 is not going to be a bargain. It is not down the stretch. But I'm sure they're up for the challenge. Thanks, Robert. Carolina Knicks fan with another one. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. 9-0 with Josh Hart. Josh Hart does not know what it looks like to lose in a Knick uniform. The trade deadline was February 9th. Tomorrow will be March 7th. They may go a month without losing since the Josh Hart trade. Wild. Although I guess they did lose their first game after the trade, and he was like technically on the team already, so it won't be a month. They'll have to win a couple games for it to be a month. Thanks, Carolina Knicks fan. A really nice game from Josh Hart too. Big time winning plays. Hayden Freed, Marcus Neymar da Silva Santos Smart Jr. Head ass #IQ. I like it. Thanks, Hayden. Alex, what's going on, Alex? Thank you. Very, very, very generous of you. We appreciate you, of course. Love the Knicks. Love KFS. Thanks, man. Love you too, man. Busy! J-Mac, I need to see that dance you did in the opening in person. Yeah, I don't know if you're ever going to see that again. That might have been a one-time show. #6th Manual, the hero of the game. Iron is looking sharper and sharper with each win. Shout out to the schedule makers. This is just what we needed heading into the playoffs. I mean, it's funny. I saw it. The first commercial for the Oscars that I've seen, at least. I'm sure they've been running for a little while, but the Oscars is next weekend. The day after. Oh yeah, I should shout out our game watch. If anybody's in New York City next weekend, Saturday, we're all going to get together at Penn 6. It's on 34th Street, right near the Garden, to watch the Clippers game together in person. It's a 4 p.m. game. We'll be in the upstairs lounge. Overflow will go downstairs, but like we're basically going to take over the whole bar. So good establishment. I'll be there. Most of the Knicks Film School crew will be there. Yeah, I don't know why I just thought about that. Oh yeah, because I was bringing up the Oscars. So the Oscars are the next day, and with the Oscars, I feel like there's always talk about when's the right time to start campaigning, right? When do you want to make your push? You don't want to make your push too early, but you also don't want to make your push too late because there's not enough time. I think all things being equal, them just getting the experience to be in these games and know what it takes to win these games is the most important thing, because that's what sharpens the iron, right? Is you get in the situation and then and I think also, if we're being honest, a lot of the tough losses they had earlier this year, maybe they needed to go through that to get to this. So, it all works out for a reason. I don't know. I mean, I it's a question about like the concept of momentum, right? Some people think it's a real thing. Some people think it's not. I I, I like that they're playing now this way. Um, it feels like it's the right thing for them. I'll say that. Thanks, Busy. Appreciate you, man. Kevin McEwen, what's going on, Kev? IQ, amazing. You and I are about the same age, Macri. I haven't felt like this about the Knicks in a long time. LOL. Hashtag New York forever. It's just it's weird because I'm if we're the same age, Kev. So like again, I was a teenager for the 90s. I was born in 83. So 93, 94 was when I first got really into the team. I turned 11 years old, that year. So like my real wheelhouse, I was like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17 is kind of when it ended. You got a lot of stuff going on in your life at that time. So like I have the memories, but in terms of, it's different when you watch. I mean, it's different for me now because I do this and I'm so invested in it. So like that obviously changes things, but my memory of the 90s is just being I just really enjoyed the team and I felt like they were really good. And even though I wasn't smart enough to know this, I thought they could win a championship any year. Like 1995 going into the playoffs. I was like, all right, we didn't beat Houston last year. We'll win this year, And even maybe 96 was the only year where I was like, because the Bulls were doing what the Bulls were doing, but like 97, 98 even, which that's not a very memorable team, but like 98. And then 99 happened, then 2000. Like all those years, every one of those years, I was like, yeah, we could win the championship. It shows what I knew. But like, I don't know. This is really unique. This is really special. That's all. Thanks, Kev. Brian, what's going on, Brian? J-Mac, tell me a bigger regular season win this team has had since Vince Carter eliminated them 22 years ago. Yeah, that's the line of demarcation, right? That's when it all started going to shit. I'll hang up and weep and listen. Oh man. I mean, I'll give you two contenders. Maybe three. But two for sure. First contender is just because it was like we were living in a movie, was like pick your Linsanity game. For me, it's the Toronto game. And again, wasn't a bigger win because like that team wasn't special in that way, like in terms of like being a contender, but just because of like the magic carpet ride of it. And you felt like you were living in a movie, although this is starting to feel like we're living in a movie. So I would go that game for different reasons. I will say, if they do anything this season, I'm sorry, but we're going to look back at that first Cleveland win after the Dallas game, where pretty much everybody, I still remember sitting doing the live stream on that Saturday, and it was just like, all right, well, they're going to lose to Cleveland, and Tibbs going to lose his job, and then we'll see what happens then. So when they came out and they beat Cleveland, that was, that was big. That was really meaningful. But again, very in a different way than this game was meaningful. This was like the performance and like the whole thing, everything. And we're obviously having talked. The conversations after that Cleveland game, I remember also, were like, all right, it's a stay of execution. Now it's like, oh, we're going to win the championship. So very different conversations, but big, again, big in a different way. And then the only other one that I want to say is, I'm trying to think if there was one Miami win in the 2012-13 season. Because we beat them, I believe we beat them 3 out of 4 times that year. And the first game is the one that sticks out in my memory when it was the opening night of the season that I listened to that entire game while waiting on a gas line after Hurricane Sandy. and they just destroyed the Heat. Not that one, but I'm like wondering if one of those other Miami wins had the feeling of like after we won that game being like, oh my God, we just beat the Heat, like we could win a championship. I don't remember, but I do want to at least give an honorable mention to maybe if someone has a better recollection of one of those wins than me, feel free to chime in. But yeah, I think so. For sure. Biggest win in the last 22 years at least. Probably more. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you, man. Sam Garcia's dad. What's going on, man? Statement game. No excuses, Boston. Hashtag Robert Cross. Eastern Conference Finals. Not so dark horse. It's a rainbow-colored horse. That's what we're right. Emmanuel quickly on a rainbow-colored unicorn. Someone draw it up. Maybe the NBA paint guy can do that. Thanks, Sam Garcia's dad. Dan Hidalgo, shout out to Miami Vice for the coldest takes ever. To Miami Vice, are we talking about the dude that came on a couple days ago? I already threw him under the bus once. I'm not gonna do that again. Friend of the pod, Giancarlo. Thanks, Dan. Andrew Palladino, what's going on, Andrew? I'm going insane, John. We all are. Speechless after this win. The vibes are what they are, and I couldn't be happier. Quickly, she gets 6th man of the year buzz after this. We're past the buzz. We're past the buzz. He's the betting favorite now. He should win the award. Everybody has to know what he means to this team. Is the third most important player on the team. They need him. They need him. He would start for a lot of teams in the league, and he could start for this one, obviously. He's 6th man of the year. Thanks, Andrew. Roger Fortune, what's going on, Roger? The Knicks made me feel such joy tonight that I've missed. All this without Jalen Brunson, too. Thank you for these goosebumps. Yeah, thanks. Thanks to the Knicks for doing it. They're doing it. They're making up for a lot of lost time. Shout out to everybody involved. Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Tibbs, Johnny Bryant, the whole coaching staff, Walt Perrin, Brock Aller, balancing the books, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Mitch, who's been here the longest. The whole right on down. Everybody deserves praise. Everybody deserves a thank you. Total franchise effort, top to bottom. Thanks, Roger. Appreciate you, man. Sean Ford, what's going on, Sean? Sean, I love this team. I love this team. I love this team. That's great. Tonight was IQ's 6-man winning performance. I completely agree. Please be a Knick for your whole life, Emmanuel Quickly. Thanks, KFS. I already said what I believe I said, what Emmanuel Quickly finished in terms of plus minus. He was very good. He was +8 tonight. So it is time. We're going to do this live. This is exceptional live streaming to check my favorite niche NBA stat, which is Emmanuel Quickly's plus minus and where it ranks in the league-wide rankings. So I believe this is updated after this game. We'll see. Currently, at present time, Emmanuel Quickly ranks 17th in the NBA in plus minus at plus 252. He is 8 plus minus points away from Ja Morant, who is in 16th place. Ja's not going to be playing for a little bit, in case you haven't heard. Isaiah Joe made a big jump because I believe the Thunder kicked the crap out of the Jazz tonight. Jazz stealth tank job right now. Isaiah Joe plus 262. And then in 14th place, 23 points ahead of Emmanuel Quickly at plus 275, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then right above him in 13th place at plus 278. Did I do math correctly? Yeah, 25 ahead of Emmanuel Quickly is Donovan Mitchell. And I'll just read off the rest of the names from 12 on up. Jamal Murray, Joel Embiid, Jared Allen, Jaren Jackson Jr., Darius Garland, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jason Tatum, and then 4 Nuggets because the Nuggets are obscene. Not a bad list. 6th man of the year. RJ Team, thank you for your contribution. Take my money, Mark. I think you meant Mac, but Mark's fine. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Drew P, IQ, Julius Randle, RJ, Hart, and Mitch gave us everything. 40+ minutes. This team, man. No quit. I'll be curious. I really am now curious to see if anybody gets a night off on Tuesday. I don't think they would do that. I mean, it's the Hornets who got beat by a bunch against Brooklyn tonight. I don't know. Do they give Randall a rest? I don't know. Do they give Quickly a rest? There's a question. How's Quickly going to be feeling tomorrow morning? Man. Thanks, Drew. Stevens Guillaume, give IQ the 6th man of the year trophy already and sign him to a lifetime contract. What a win. 4-0 for the week. I was waiting for someone to bring it up. Hashtag vibes are immaculate. Hashtag giddy up. Second week in a row or third week in a row? Jeremy gave me the golden opportunity. And I said when he picked 3-1 and I picked 2-2, I said if they go 4-0, I'll be thrilled. I'll be so thrilled. I'll be rolling around on the floor making guttural noises. And if they go 2-2, or if they go 3-1, I'll be happy. But if they go 2-2, it'll at least give me a silver lining. It'll at least be like, okay, well, at least I won the week. I stand by it. I'm thrilled. I won't say no regrets, but I am thrilled. Benji with a great tweet. DJ MKC with another one. I think it's fitting to rate IQ's game tonight a D+. I think this is the first. I mean, Benji had a report card a few weeks ago. Shout out to Ben Ridholtz, who has just the best Twitter. For my money, he's the best Twitter follow on Knicks Twitter, at Ben Ridholtz NBA. He does the report cards that we retweet out from the KFS account as well. And he had one, I think for Brunson. I think it was for Brunson a few games ago where the grade was just graduated. I'm pretty sure it was Brunson. And tonight he gave the first ever, I believe, A++ for Emmanuel Quickly. And it was well-deserved. He's really like, here's what we're going to have. I'm going to do this on the next tweet that has some Emmanuel Quickly love in it. Thank you, DJ MKC. Appreciate you. Paul Brecht. Quickly, man, my friend started to call him Steph Hurry. And something about that just sticks. Why Steph Hurry? He doesn't rush. He's actually pretty methodical. The kid is just pure electricity. I love that. He is pure electricity for sure. Okay, so 2020 NBA draft. Emmanuel Quickly goes 25th. Currently, he's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th in minutes played in that draft from the players that were taken in that draft. In terms of points scored, he is 7th, excuse me. So here are the players that have scored more points than Emmanuel Quickly in that draft. And by the way, I should say, in terms of players taken after Emmanuel Quickly in the draft, I don't think any has a serious argument for having been drafted ahead of Emmanuel Quickly. With all due respect to Devin Vassell being an exciting, like, 3-and-D prospect, Onyeka Okongwu, is turning into a nice player still for Atlanta. All due respect to those guys, there's nobody that has scored fewer points than Emmanuel Quickley taken in the 2020 draft that at this point you'd say deserves to be drafted ahead of him. Here are the players that have scored more points than Emmanuel Quickley in that draft. Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards would be the first pick, and it wouldn't be close. Because that dude might win an MVP someday. LaMelo Ball. So LaMelo Ball has already been an all-star. He just suffered a pretty bad injury. He's had kind of a quirky career. LaMelo Ball still goes ahead of Emmanuel Quickley, but like the fact that I had to talk it out, Saddiq Bey, third most points from this draft class. Sorry, Saddiq. I think you're a nice player. You're not getting drafted ahead of Emmanuel Quickley. And then the next three names are interesting. Tyrese Halliburton, who's drafted 12th, NBA All-Star. Des Bane, drafted 30th. And Tyrese Maxey, drafted 21st. Emmanuel Quickley's college teammate. Are you really taking all three of those guys over Quickley? Maxey, not as efficient as Quickley this year? Without any hesitation, I could say not near the defensive player that Emmanuel Quickley is. And I would go so far as to say that any team that is going to give Tyrese Maxey like a big role is going to be having defensive stuff, to worry about. Des Bane suffered an injury this year. Big wing, scored a lot of points, did some on-ball stuff. So I'll probably give Bane the nod. I'll give Bane the nod. And then Halliburton's the fun one, right? I know how at least one member of the Knicks Film School faculty would pick as far as Halliburton versus Quickley. But like, here's the point. He would be in the conversation on a redraft for being one of the top 5 picks, which is wild. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you. Dom Cappuccini, 67% from the free throw line, out-rebounded on the offensive glass, almost 20 turnovers, gave up big threes, down by 14 halfway through the third, and no Brunson. How the F did we win this? Hashtag we back and better in a long while. Again, this is not the conversation that we've had thus far tonight because they won and Emmanuel Quickley did what Emmanuel Quickley did. But there was a lot of stuff that we would have turned to. The offensive glass stuff, some of that was during the stretch at the end of the first half where they went small with Randall at the 5 and RJ at the 4. I was actually excited to see that lineup. They gave up 4 offensive rebounds in the span of like 4 minutes. Then they cleaned it up a lot for most of the second half, and then they gave up some offensive rebounds at some inopportune times off of long threes in the end of regulation and then in the overtime periods. But so that was an issue. The turnovers, I didn't feel that they were like sloppy with the ball tonight. That wasn't as big a worry for me. I thought they took care of the ball. I thought their offensive process was fine. The free throws you don't love, but again, 3 of those were Mitch in overtime. I thought the rest of the team, you look at the free throws. RJ was 6 of 9, not ideal. Hart was 3 of 5, like whatever, not a big deal. I know that's not the point of your super chat. The point is to point out like we overcame all these things, but it just got me thinking how unclean was their effort tonight. And I think despite all of that, I think we could still look at them and be like, they executed for the most part really, really well tonight at a really high level without their starting point guard against a really good team. Thanks, Dom. Appreciate you, man. Dan Hidalgo, Randall deferring to Quick was everything. Amen. Amen. My favorite comment of the night so far. Julius Randle's growth does not look like the growth process of any player we have ever witnessed before. But it's evident, and you see small signs of it here and there, and they're big and they're important. Great comment, Dan. Will Oliver, what's going on, Will? Wow, my heart cannot take this. To do that without Brunson, maybe it's the adrenaline speaking, but this team can fight in a best of 7 with the best of them. Yep. No disagreement, man. No disagreement, Will. Absolutely. Completely agree. Don't count them out. Be foolish to do so. Kenny Rose, this team reminds me of the 69 Knicks. So together. That's what I need. I need the old heads to pop in here and talk to me about the 69 Knicks because, and hey, I wrote it on Saturday in my newsletter on Saturday morning after the Miami win. There have been 3 teams in Knicks history who have had 2 winning streaks of at least 8 games. This team, the 1973 World Champions, and the 1970 World Champions. That's it. Thanks, Kenny. D-Zilla. Emmanuel quickly. He's a dog. I love it. Yes, he is. The best kind. Appreciate you. Jessica, what's going on? Jessica, this will forever be known as the Emmanuel Quickly game. Here's the thing, though, right? I think it's not going to be known as much as the Emmanuel Quickly game and more the Emmanuel Quickly coming out party for anyone who may have been unfamiliar. Because he's got a lot more games. Hopefully, all of them in a Knick uniform. I've been high on him all year. I feel vindicated over and over. He had so much fun doing it. Just an amazing force. Another important Hart game, too. Let's go Knicks. Every game is a positive Hart. Like, Hart is another one. And that's what the thing is, right? They have surrounded their 2 stars. And Jalen Brunson is a star that very rarely has a bad game. And Julius Randle, that's been the biggest thing in their season. Julius Randle going from empty calories numbers last season, who was actively detrimental at times towards losing games or towards winning games, turning him into a guy that gives you enough consistency that you could call yourself a really good team. That's been the biggest thing, along with Brunson. But, like, they've surrounded those 2 guys with guys who just very rarely have bad games. Quickly, never has a bad game. Josh Hart, never has a bad game. Mitchell Robinson, very rarely now has a game where you look at it and be like, oh, he had a bad game. Quentin Grimes, we're getting there, right? We're getting there. But again, there's a certain level of consistency with him as well, especially on the defensive end. And RJ's the one we're kind of waiting for, but he had a good game tonight. And Obi's been really consistent of late. Let's shout out to Obi and Hartenstein too. But Obi is the one, he's had a really nice one. As far as feeling vindicated because you've been high on Emmanuel Quickly, I would love to take victory laps on Emmanuel Quickly. I don't deserve to. I haven't been as high on him as a lot of people out there. And I've been high on him. I've sung his praises, the whole thing. But there are people out there who have planted their flag on this player in a significant way that every one of them should be doing all of the victory laps tonight. So shout out to you and shout out to anybody else who are on that train in a big way. Miguel Almonte, first time, long time Knicks fan since 91 here. Thank you for chiming in, Miguel. Appreciate you. This game felt like watching Rocky 4. Quickly being Rocky and the entire Celtics team being Drago. Were they on steroids too? Hashtag let's freaking go Knicks. Yeah, but I really do think we need to emphasize. I know they didn't have Brogdon and Time Lord. I get it. They played 48 minutes of stretch 5 between Harford and Muscala. And maybe they had some minutes where it was Grant Williams at the 5. I don't remember. But like stretch 5 the whole time. It's the toughest thing for the Knicks defense to have to deal with. So with all due respect to Brogdon being out, obviously the guy that we were missing was more important in terms of Brunson. And just like you look up, I know Boston doesn't have the best record in the league right now, but in terms of their net rating and point differential, they are still the best team. And going back to last year, they ran roughshod over the league for 3 months after the RJ shot. And then did pretty well in the playoffs until they ran into Steph Curry and got a little cloggy with their offense. But like I don't hate the Drago comparison for Boston. The Bucks are probably really Drago for me, but this Boston team's close. Thanks, Miguel. Great analogy, by the way. Robert Cross with another one. Robert, I love you, man. It's your boy John. Shouldn't be lost tonight that RJ was very strong in the first half. He's part of the solution too, no matter what Kevin says. Hashtag 53 wins. Let's read RJ's stat line. Give credit where credit's due. Let's read RJ's stat line. 29 points, 10 to 22 from the field, 50 minutes played. That's pretty important. 3 and 9 from deep. That's the one area where you're going to be a little bit like, he had some, and 6 and 9 from the line, But 11 rebounds. If that's not a season high for him, it's got to be damn close. 3 assists, but I thought there were, and one steal, 1 block, 2 turnovers. I thought there were 2 shots that I could remember. I want to say they both came at the end of the first half, where I was like, he's forcing a little bit. Maybe they weren't at the end of the first half. I feel like they were. Maybe they were in the third quarter, but I think they were in at the end of the first half. There were 2. There were about 2 that come to mind. One of them I think was on a fast break. I didn't love the attempt he made there, and then there was another one on just like a self-creation thing. I'm like, some of his threes towards the end of the game were not really close, but he also came up big with some big plays in the second half. But I completely agree with you. First half, and specifically, we always talk about Randall's first quarters and how important the Randall first quarters are to just setting the tone against really good teams, or just setting the tone against bad teams and shooting out to a big lead and then going and running away and hiding. RJ coming out and making those buckets against a team that everybody figured okay, no Brunson, Boston coming in off the Brooklyn game. They're going to be angry. They're going to want the whole thing. To just settle everything down, and you're out of the gate and you're like, okay, we're winning out of the gate. So whatever this game is going to turn into, it's not going to turn into Boston going out, and outscoring the Knicks 28-9 in the first quarter, and then it's the whole rest of the game is a comeback attempt. That's RJ. That was RJ. RJ prevented that from being a possibility. And it was so important, especially, Robert, I'll give your boy one more piece of credit, because Julius Randle didn't really have it early. In the early going, he was not looking great in the first quarter. So very, very important minutes for RJ there. Good game from him. My God, am I going to have some difficulties with stars of the weekend. Whew. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Hayden Freed. Giancarlo, the only effing cute thing about the Knicks is Emmanuel Quickly's dance moves. I love it. I love it. Oh, man. Give it to him. Go tag him right now. Everybody. This team is special. Huge start by RJ. Classic big Randall shots game. Yeah, Randall made some big shots. Let's not forget the step back 3 down the stretch in regulation. Yeah, down the stretch of regulation to put them up 7. That step back 3. That was massive. It was massive. And I didn't have the problem. He took another 3. I think it was the next possession. I didn't have an issue with it. And it was a good look. I didn't have an issue with it. Hayden Freed, thank you. Austin Z, what's going on, Austin? There was this tiny moment I remember from last year where Emmanuel Quickly was coaching up Sims and Deuce McBride with the tablet on the bench. I don't know, but that stayed with me. That's a great anecdote, Austin. Thank you for sharing that. I think more so than my belief in his game, and I have always been a believer in his overall game, enough to the point where I was like, okay, maybe he's an inconsistent offensive player, but you roll with it because of all the other things he does for you. Part of why I was so upset / angry earlier this year when the trade rumors came out. And again, that was a real thing. That was a real thing. They took calls and they made calls on Emmanuel Quickley. Maybe them making calls was just to gauge interest. I should be clear. Like I don't think they were calling and being like, "Hey, you want Emmanuel Quickley for a protected first round?" I don't think that's what happened. But like, there were active discussions. Maybe all those active discussions were purely about, are you, where's your interest level at? Like, what would you be willing to pay? Whatever it was. The fact that they even had those, and I know he was offensively, he was inconsistent shooting it early on. The fact that they even had those made me so freaking angry, less because of what he did off the court and more because of, like, this dude just exuded always since he got here. The energy and the, like, just all the being about the right stuff that you dream about in a player that you draft into your organization. And what you're talking about here, him coaching up Sims and McBride with a tablet on the bench, that plays right into that. He cares about all the right things. And I hope he's a Knick for life. I know that's not realistic anymore, but the way the league is. But Sam Garcia's dad, the pure joy IQ plays with, my favorite thing in the world. #53 wins. It was incredible to watch this heavyweight fight. It was a heavyweight fight. And he's out there fucking dancing. And it's not ridiculous. There's nothing ridiculous about it. That's Emmanuel Quickley. How do you want to, I don't want to get angry again. How do you want to trade that guy? How would you even think about, because we've seen that version of him a lot. The energy and the joy that he injects into the whole rest of the team. It's unparalleled. And it's rare in the league, to say nothing of unparalleled for the Knicks. Thanks, Sam Garcia's dad. Appreciate you, man. Mike Jameson. What's going on, Mike Jameson? We sure the Knicks missed out on Zion and Ja. RJ may have his flaws, but the guy shows up and is durable. Not sure if you could say about the others, about the others. Look, I've said it a few times in maybe offline. Zion Williamson can do things that on a basketball court that there aren't really anybody else who could do the specific things that he could do. And when he's out there, I think he's a top 10 impact offensive player in the sport. And that's probably underselling him, but at least top 10. I don't know how you're supposed to run a franchise. Even as the front office, to say nothing about a coaching, like, how are you supposed to coach a team when that, like, because if he's on your roster, you're building the rest of the roster around him. You have to build it to his strengths. And he is the sort of unique fit where you do need to have certain sorts of players around him and, like, a lot of shooting and this and that. Like, how do you build your schemes and, like, your roster and all that stuff around him and then just, like, not know, is he going to play 20 games this year? Is he going to play 40 games this year? Is he going to play 60 games this year? Is he going to be out for the playoffs like he was, last year? Like, how do you function how do you function? I wouldn't want that. I mean, it'd be exciting if he was on my team, but I wouldn't want that challenge. And I imagine, actually, as a fan, I'd probably be frustrated too. So, like, that's Zion. As far as Ja, man, I don't want to comment because we don't know what's going on with him. But am I happy that no Knicks players are sending out Instagram videos of them in a club at whatever time in the morning, brandishing what appears to be a firearm? If you're asking me if I'm happy about that, the answer is yes. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. We're probably not going to get the answer for another 5 years. But right now, it's an interesting conversation. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? For a found money win, I don't think the Knicks look at any of this as found money. I think they just think they should go out and win every night. This is one of the most anxious of the year. I completely agree, and I know what you mean by that. This team is such a treat. They could beat anyone. They're gonna get that IQ jersey now. Yeah, what was gonna be so disappointing if they lost that game is you want the game that ends the winning streak, like, to be a clean loss. Like, you don't want to feel like, oh, we had that and we gave it away. And what was going to be such a tough pill to swallow if they had lost that game is there was so much else to love about it. It was, we didn't have Brunson. It was the Quickly game. It was fighting like hell back behind Emmanuel Quickly from being down, whatever the hell they were they down 14 points, I think, 13, 14 points in the third quarter, fighting from behind and coming all the way back and taking that lead and showing that grit and showing that resilience. That's why if they had lost that game because they fumbled it down the stretch of regulation, struggled at moments in the overtime, it just would have been tough. It would have been tough. And I'm really happy that is not what I have to react to right now. So thank you, Dom. Appreciate you, man. Carlos Medina, what's going on, Carlos? Let's freaking go. Knicks, the last time I said something, I said IQ was a poor man's Steph Curry after his summer league debut. Wow. You waited your time to chime in again. Appreciate you coming back. What do you think now, JM? Calling Eastern Conference Finals, we're a problem now. That's ultimately why now I'm going to translate it to on the court as opposed to the off court stuff. That's the on court reason why I thought it was ridiculous that they were ever talking trade for this player, because he does everything else right. I would argue, I mean, defensive Steph Curry's an underrated defender, but I would argue that Emmanuel Quickly is a better defender than Steph Curry. Offensively, I mean, Steph Curry's one of the 5 greatest players ever lived. But I'm not going to the Steph place, but I will say this. He does everything right? He does everything right. He does a lot right on offense. He does everything right on defense. If you were sitting around and all you were waiting for was the consistency of the jump shot to develop, because even when he was struggling earlier in the year, he was still improving. He was better on twos. Pretty much the whole year, he was a lot better on twos than he was last year, which is a part of improvement that he made from year 1 to year 2, and then he made it from year 2 to year 3. So it's like we're sitting there and be like, it's just the consistency on the 3-point shot. That's all it is. And then you're like, and again, I'm not putting him in the same sentence as Steph, even as a poor man's version of Steph, but like you look around the league and you see the impact that these guards who just fire away and make you honor them from 25, 26, 28, 30 feet from the basket. That was the only piece that was missing. And like, we've seen him do it. We've seen him do it. It just wasn't consistent. And now it's become more consistent. And now it's like, oh man, when this guy's got to go, and he really is kind of unguardable. The handle still isn't, the handle's the biggest thing that still needs to improve with him. And you saw it at times, even in this game, where he just didn't have the ability to get into the teeth of the defense, which is part of the reason I think why they put the ball in Randall's hands at the end of regulation. But yeah, here's the nice thing about Emmanuel Quickly. And here's another Steph comparison. You know what Steph Curry did when he got in the league? Kept getting better. You know what Emmanuel Quickly's done ever since he got in the league? Kept getting better. And he's not done yet. Thanks, Carlos. Eyal Oran Bausch. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's 6 a.m. in Israel, and I'm going to be late to work. Worth it. If we beat the Celtics without Brunson, are the Knicks favorites to be 2023 NBA champions? Man, I would love to know what the betting odds are right now. I'm sorry that it probably took me a while to get to your Super Chat comment. I hope at the very least you could listen or watch later and enjoy it. if my being late to get to this, because we've had so much in terms of super chats today, made you even later for work, I apologize. I hope it was worth it. And happy Monday to you, because it is Monday. It is Monday for all of us, actually, now. On the East Coast, it's Monday. Loving it. Thanks, Ayal. Exhibition continues. Thank you for the generous contribution. Exhibition continues. Appreciate you, man. IQ is him, he is him, and him is he. It's great. It's fantastic. National coming out party. 9 straight. I don't have the words. We still don't know. It's 1 a.m. I've been on here for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I still don't really have the words for this one. I don't. I might just do my dance again. Thanks, Exhibition continues. Appreciate you, man. Dom Cappuccini with another one. Are we seeing shades of we hear RJ defense since the end of the All-Star break? It's been much improved. And you know how I know it's been improved? Because I haven't really noticed it. RJ's defense before the break was such that, really for the whole first however many games of the year, there would be possessions where it really stuck out as being bad. And I can't say with a couple of exceptions, there have been very, very, really almost no plays where I've looked at it and like, oh, RJ didn't defend on that play. Like the role he plays in the defense now, where he's not guarding the other teams like most threatening or second most threatening defender, you want to not notice him. And we haven't. And that means his defense has been good. And there's still a couple of things like, don't forget the box out. He still does that occasionally. I think he missed the box out on Derek White during a key moment down the stretch of the game. But, yeah, he's been really good. Keep it up. That's all I have to say. Keep it up. Sam Garcia with another one. This team is a title contender next year with why you got to ruin the vibes by with PG-13. They might be a title contender right now, Sam. They might be a title contender right now. Can't believe I'm saying it. Throwing caution to the wind here. Thank you, Sam. Mark R. What's going on, Mark? If anyone joined late like me, do yourself a favor and go back and rewatch the open of this post game. Worth it. Hashtag IQ dance. Let's freaking go. So I don't know what people could tell. I'm dealing with a little bit of a space restriction here. I got myself when we got this. Was it when I got this? No, when we moved into this apartment a year and a half ago, I got myself this seems like a decent office chair. It was like over $100, so nice chair, but it's big. It's big and it's on the rolly wheels so you can hear always, and it doesn't go back far. So, and I didn't want to have to deal with like picking the chair up and like putting it or taking it out and then putting it back like in the middle of a live stream or whatever. So I just kind of tried to push it back as much as possible to start the live stream. Point is, because I'm dealing with an immovable desk thing and like there's a wall behind me, I didn't really have a lot of room with which to do said dance. I was trying to do the best Emmanuel Quickly impersonation I could. I hope I succeeded. But from your sentiments, it seemed like I did, which is great. Thank you, Mark. Robert Cross, first time, long time, John. I don't want to trade for no star. We have plenty of stars. We are here. Hashtag we now. That's the right energy tonight, Robert. It's the right energy. How often do I say so often that you're right? Say something that I could like yell at you about. This is very unsettling for me. But we appreciate you. Todd Rahulik or Rolick? Hope I didn't mess it up. One of those hopefully was right. JM, you guys are awesome. Listen to every post game and pod. Thank you, man. Seriously, thank you. IQ being amazing is obvious, but huge credit also needs to go to Mitchell Robinson. We fell apart without him tonight. So, Mitch, it's funny you say that. So, Mitch tonight was a -1, and Hardenstein was actually a +11. And then they obviously were minus in the stretch where they went with no center. I agree with you that Mitch was really good tonight. And I agree with you, especially because I think Isaiah Hartenstein did not really have it tonight. I did not love Hartenstein's minutes. I thought the push that they made with Hartenstein was not as much to do with Isaiah Hartenstein as it was to do with other guys who were on the court at that time. I thought Mitch played an okay game too against Miami, and then I got, not that I got pushback on that, but I saw some people noting that like he didn't have as good of a game. I would love to go back and rewatch that, but like he was definitely better tonight. Let's just say that he was better tonight, and like you could say this again about 5 or 6 guys. They don't win the game without him. 44 minutes. I know. I don't even have to look it up. And someone tell me if I'm wrong. I am fairly certain that 44 minutes is the first time Mitchell Robinson has ever played over 40 minutes in an NBA game. Because, like, you know, conditioning has at times been a thing for him. And credit to him, credit to Mitchell Robinson for turning into a guy that you could play for 44 minutes in a game like that. Because this wasn't your usual Mitchell Robinson 44 minutes. This was 44 high intensity, high movement, and not only physical intensity, but mentally he had to be engaged totally and completely throughout the entire night. So I stand corrected. Mitchell Robinson has played over 40 minutes 2 other times, but this was a career high for him. His previous career high was 41 minutes and 20 seconds, which was in his 3rd season. It was the only time that year that he played more than 40 minutes, and then he played over 40 minutes in a game last season against the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's it. Thanks, Todd. Appreciate you. Kyle Norris, what's going on, Kyle? You either win or you learn is Tibbs' favorite quote after a loss. Do you think that means he learned nothing after this win? Hashtag outcoached. I'm not sure why you think Tom Thibodeau was outcoached in this game, but kudos to you to have the energy to complain about the coach after a game like this. I would recommend you go over and spend some time on Boston's Twitter. See what they're talking about Joe Mazzulla. But yeah, I guess, you know, keep that energy. Thanks, Kyle. Gene Burr. Couldn't tell if that was an M or an R and an N. Bernieri, thank you for the very generous contribution. I don't see a chat here for you. Justin, take a look. Maybe Gene has something that didn't get in there. Robert, it's your boy John. Don't let Cutlets off the hook again. If he leaves 4-0 on the table, you take it. Do they play? Oh, okay. Sorry. Apologies to the last commenter. He's saying that Tibbs outcoached Mazzulla. Oh, okay. Sorry. Didn't mean that. I took it the wrong way. Again, it's PTSD. Two people always criticizing Tibbs. I agree he outcoached Mazzulla. 100%. So no disagreement there. As far as what am I taking this week? I'll be curious what Jeremy takes. Charlotte, Sacramento, Clippers, and Lakers. And the Clippers and Lakers are at a back-to-back. Yeah, I got you, Andrew. I bet you Jeremy takes 3-1. I bet you he does. I don't know. If I keep picking 2-2 and they keep going 4-0, it's more important than me winning this stupid thing. Thanks, Robert. James Choi, what's going on, James? Let's freaking go special. IQ learning behind JB has been huge. Credit to Julius Randle for deferring to the hot hand. Completely agree. I feel for Quentin Grimes, but he'll learn from this. Mitch had huge offensive rebounds. No one wants us in the playoffs. iHeart needs to be better. Yeah, I thought that was fair. Thanks, Andrew. I thought that was fair. I think iHeart, you could be critical of Isaiah Hartenstein tonight. That's fine. As far as Quentin Grimes goes, Quentin Grimes played 25 minutes, took 2 shots, scored 4 points. I think Quentin Grimes is going to be fine. I think he has the right mentality, and I think the nice thing about this team is like no one who either isn't getting shots or isn't maybe getting as many minutes. No one is like, oh, well, I clearly deserve it more than this guy, or any of that sorts of stuff. I think Quentin Grimes is going to be fine, and he knows how important he is to this team. And they're going to need him because they need everybody. Thanks, James. Appreciate you, man. Blue Cheer. Thank you for the very generous contribution. We're getting a lot of very generous contributions with nothing in the chat. Again, Blue Cheer, thank you. If you have a comment, Justin, maybe take a look and try to find it. But in the meantime, thank you for the generous contribution. Sean Ford. I've watched a lot of playoff basketball since 1993. That's when I started watching. The last 2 games, the Knicks won absolute playoffs wars against 2 very good teams. Hashtag 53 wins. You know how I know you're right about that, Sean? Because last night, as I was going on 3.5 hours sleep, I stayed up until my eyes could not stay open anymore, and I fell asleep. It was the 4th quarter of the Miami Hawks game, but I watched pretty much that whole game on my phone. As I had, because I was at my in-laws out in Long Island, and so they don't have League Pass, so I had to watch it on my phone. And then I had the Milwaukee Philly game on the TV, which I also fell asleep watching that. But I was really trying to key in on Miami and Atlanta. And Miami, like, they smacked Atlanta down, And like, I'm not saying Atlanta's a great team, but like, the intensity they played with, and they weren't as good against, from what I could tell, they were not as good against the Hawks as they were against us. Execution-wise, they weren't making as many shots. Hero, I don't think, had nearly as good of a game. But like, I saw the intensity again on the second night of back-to-back. And really, like, for us to beat that team and then to beat this team again, like, coming off of that Nets game, this Brooklyn team or this Boston team, coming off of that Nets game, they wanted this. They needed it, you could argue. Can't say enough. This team they're as real as they get. Thanks, Sean. Jod Knight. Thank you, Jod. Would be poetic to go on a deep run or win it all without a superstar after chasing after one for so long. The basketball gods are smiling down on us. Maybe they're smiling down because we didn't make a trade at the trade deadline that involved like bringing in a big name. I'll say this. You want to know what I might be happiest about right now? Even like probably 3 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, I was, definitely, but at the All-Star break, because I wrote something to this effect. I was still petrified by what they might do this summer in terms of making a trade for a player that was like a star, quote unquote star. But, and I don't want to name any names, but like you guys know the names I'm talking about. I think maybe, I hope, one or the other, that this run and how they've been winning, that maybe, like, I don't want to say regardless of what happens in the playoffs, but like maybe they will be that much more selective about, okay, maybe we do still need a talent upgrade at a key position or two, but with what we have here and the style of play that we have and like what this team is able to do, I sure hope that they will be a whole lot more selective than some of us, at least me, feared that they were not going to be this summer. That is my hope. And if that is maybe even if they don't win a playoff series, like, again, we're all sitting here talking about Eastern Conference Finals. I hope they win a playoff series. I hope they win multiple playoff series. even if they don't, like, I hope at the very least that is the byproduct of the season. We'll see. Thank you, John. Anthony Sixto. They should play only 4 players. It's just unfair when we start 5. Question: do you prefer the Knicks get spaced out 3-peats or just a straight 9-peat? Man, I have not yet given over to thinking about what a championship would feel like. But I might start. Been a long time. Never seen, not since I saw a championship. I've never seen a championship, but been watching this team for a long time. Dylan Chop Charles. What's going on, Dylan Chop Charles? Oh, I'm excited about this because there were like 100 of these sorts of plays tonight. I'm about to change my segment to on tonight's high IQ play of the game because holy hell, this guy is good. Incredible plays, incredible win. Man, I was hoping that you were going to give me an underrated play of the game because there was there were literally dozens that you could have pointed to throughout the entire game. What is this? Andrew just tweeted something out. I think we are. Well, I might as well announce this live. I think we are currently in the top 10 basketball podcasts in the country. Looks like it. Looks like we're 10th. 1 spot ahead of Shaq. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's fun. And then we're in the top 100 sports podcasts in the country. That's pretty good. Thank you, everybody. Because you guys made this happen. So thank you. You guys are awesome. Appreciate every single one of you who has ever wanted to listen to what we do, even once. That's pretty wild. Top 100 sports podcast in the country. Shit. That might be more wild than the Knicks winning 9 straight games and being 12 games over 500 and maybe winning 50 games in multiple playoff series. Thank you, Dylan Chop Charles. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Paul DeSantis. Tibbs has gone from almost fired to coach of the year in a couple of short months. Such a special feeling watching this team right now. I think he's going to be in the conversation. I don't know how he's not in the conversation. I don't think he's going to win it. I think he has a good shot to end up on the ballot. But, I obviously think the man should get his credit. And I just, again, my only request to the people who went hardest after him earlier in the year, I hate when people do this. Like, make the apology as what is it? Make the apology as detailed or as loud as the criticism. That's all that stuff is so fucking stupid. But like, here's the only thing I would love to see acknowledged, because obviously there's a lot of different things going on. There's been changed rotations. There's been changed schemes. There's been all sorts of different things. But instead of just being like, well, yeah, I'll give him credit now, but that's only because he changed all the things that I've been saying he should change from the very beginning. Okay, that's fair. We get it, right? You know more than the coach, and you've always known more than the coach. But maybe for a second, at least give into, hey, maybe there's a larger process at play. And maybe the fact that we're not behind the scenes, and maybe the fact that we're not in the building and we don't know all of the things and we don't see all of the things and so on and so forth. Maybe the fact that we don't know a lot should give us some pause in saying something to the effect of, well, of course, I'll give him credit now, but that's only because he's finally doing all the things. Maybe just acknowledge that the guy who's been in this profession for 4 decades had some idea that there maybe was a larger process at play here with a team that was introducing a lot of new players and Those sorts of things. I'm not saying he didn't learn along the way. Absolutely. Absolutely, he's learned and improved along the way, and absolutely he made mistakes along the way. But, like, coaching's hard, which is why 30 fan bases, 30 segments of those fan bases who at one point or another during a season are going to say, fire this guy. It's the nature of the business. It'd be cool if some of his biggest critics acknowledge, like, hey, no caveats. Maybe the guy just knows what he's doing. That'd be cool. But maybe that's too much to ask for. Thanks, Paul. Andrew Claudio. Real talk, I'm from New York. And you know what? Tom Brady's a effing biatch. F Tom Brady, y'all. Hashtag 9 of them things. That is some great energy. I love it. Thank you for contributing, Andrew. And thank you for producing this program most of the time. Dylan DeAndrea, these young players turning into stars under the brightest lights. Never forget that part. Thank you so much, Dylan, for bringing that up. Whether it's on the road or at home, you know, the pinstripes it's been said that the pinstripes are the heaviest uniform in sports. I would argue that the Knicks uniform is the heaviest uniform in professional basketball. Because you're supposed to be one of the historical franchises along with the Celtics and the Lakers, and yet you don't have their track record. So, you know, you're dealing with that, not expectation of failure when you come here, but you're dealing with certainly a history of failure and a history of coming up short and a history of not having the guy that comes up big in the big moment and the whole thing. Like, you're dealing with all that and a fan base, that has the PTSD where the second things start to go bad, it's like, oh shit, it's all going to fall apart now. You know, it's that stuff, you know, and just in the city, it's a tough, you know, we're a tough crowd. We expect a lot, you know, because we work hard and we want you guys, them to work as hard and all the thing, whatever. I'm going on a rant, but like it's the heaviest jersey in professional basketball. So yes, when you're a young player and you come here and you produce right away, it means something. And the evidence of that is the fact that there have been a lot of young players that have come through this town in the last 20, 30 years that have not produced. Not in the way these kids have. Anyway, feels like we have 5 championship core players with the potential 6th in Grimes, and wondering who's on your list, John. Go New York, go New York, go. Yeah, it's the closing 5 and Grimes. And I feel that almost feels disrespectful to Obi and Hartenstein and RJ. Can't believe I'm the one sticking up for RJ. I mean, I'm assuming you mean Brunson, Randall, Hart, Quickly, and Mitch. The biggest question mark for me for the rest of this year, more so than whether we can win a playoff series, how do we look at RJ Barrett when the season's over? Whether the season ends in April or ends in May. How do we look at RJ Barrett when the season is over, and how much confidence do we feel like, okay, we got to stick this out? So for me, I think it's at least 5, and I think it has the potential to be 6 or 7. For sure. Thanks, Dylan. Robert Cross with another one. It's your boy, John. IQ only had 1 turnover in 55 minutes. Holy shit. I can't wait to do my basketball reference search after this is over. Not bad for a starting point guard, don't you think? Hashtag 53 wins. He's awesome, man. 1 turn. Thank you for mentioning that. Thank you. Harry Donor, thank you for the contribution. This is my little notepad. You know what I'm writing my notes on here? My daughter has this little, like, book that she jots down all sorts of little nonsense in, and I just pulled open a page. I don't come prepared to work. It's very sad. Sean Ford, IQ is now the Vegas favorite for 6-man. Damn right he is, as you should be. Place your bets. You can still make, you know, they'll still pay out. They're not going to keep your money if he wins. Place your bets. Thank you, Sean. Claudio Santos, what's going on, Claudio? First ever super chat. Thank you. Sorry if I made you wait. I feel like I should apologize to everybody who I've made wait because we've been taking a while on this one. Overjoyed. Update your definitions, John. IQ is a star. I did say that at one point last season. I did say that. I remember I was across the room in the original podcast location set up in this apartment, and I said, I'm starting to get star vibes from this player. It was when he was going through a stretch at one point in the season, and he was really feeling it. He's exuded that quality of a star without the star numbers and without the star opportunity. That's been the big thing. And the question always was, well, these are the on-off numbers, right? These are the advanced metrics. They all point this way. Okay, well, what happens if he gets the opportunity that those metrics say that he probably deserves? What happens then? And tonight was the latest piece of evidence. We found out. Star player. I like it. Thanks, Claudio. Appreciate you chiming in. Thank you to everybody for chiming in, by the way. This is unbelievable. David Crockett, what's going on, David? IQ's game was a coronation for the national audience, but real ones already knew. RJ's 11 boards tonight elevated him to perfect in his role status. Yeah. Absolutely. They don't, again, it's the efforts for everybody. I will say this. Even if you're the biggest IQ stan in the world, and I'm sure there are many people on Knicks Twitter who can certainly lay claim to that title, even if you are that, there is something to seeing it for the first time where even if you're like, I knew he could do it, I do think that there is something to actually seeing it where it's like, oh, yes, it's confirmed. Like to get it confirmed for you, like I don't know if I'm articulating my point well enough, but like this had to be at least a little surprising for even if you're the biggest fan of his in the world, just because you never know if a player is going to come through when, again, he put the team on his freaking shoulders in that sort of situation against that sort of team with this sort of audience and the whole thing. You never really know for sure. So to see it, pretty freaking great. And the 11 rebounds, by the way, for RJ, that was a season high. I was correct in that. And he's only had a couple of games where he's had more than that. Last season, he had one game where he had 14 rebounds. 15, one with 14, one with 13, one with 12. So like, yeah, this ties the fifth highest rebounding game he's had, RJ Barrett, in the last 3 seasons. Thanks, David. Appreciate you, man. Danny Gardner. What's going on, Danny? Never been so proud to be a Knicks fan in my life. Is this what a good team feels like? I had a weird confidence at the end. So me and you both. Everyone fights so hard. I don't really know because it's been a really long time since I was a fan of a good team that I felt this good about. I do remember what it felt like in 2012-13. That was good, but again, there was the Miami of it looming over all of it, which was weird. And it dampened it in a weird way, just because to me at least at that time they represented this like unbeatable thing. And like right now, I'm not like worried about who might be unbeatable. Just worried about this team. Different feeling. For sure. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate you, man. As always. ML Nair, thank you for the contribution. Thanks to everybody who's been contributing without even leaving any comments. You guys are awesome. GD Nation, I'm so excited about this team. That was just a tremendous effort, but please be real. A 7-game series is a beast. Our physical play can exhaust us. Here's the other side of the coin, though, GD Nation. Our physical play can exhaust the other team. And I would go so far as to say it's going to exhaust the other team more than it's going to exhaust us, because the Knicks have been preparing and conditioning themselves since the summertime to play this style of ball. There was never any misgivings about how this team was going to be successful. And it was always going to be through physicality. So they're going to be prepared. Not saying they're not going to be tired, but they've been preparing for the moment. So, and if you're another team, can you prepare for the physicality that these Knicks bring? Is there a way to do that? I'm not so sure. Thanks, GD Nation. Jeremy Cohen. Hello, sir. First time, long time. Hi, John. I think this is the first time Jeremy's ever chimed in on one of my post games. Can you please talk more about how Boston isn't a real city, just a big town with a cool aquarium? Their bars close at 1 a.m. and they lost twice in 1 week to the Knicks. Hashtag 53 wins. First of all, Jeremy Cohen, congratulations on your win this week. Second of all, Boston is a big town. I haven't been there enough to really, I don't have the hatred for Boston that you do, because obviously you're a Yankee fan. And a lot of our viewers, I'm sure, do, especially the older ones that remember the Boston battles with this Knicks team dating back to the late 60s and early 70s, to say nothing of the 80s. But, Boston sucks. And New York is better. And anyone who says Boston is better than New York is one of two things: an idiot or from Boston, which is to just say they're from Boston. Thanks, Jeremy. Steve S. John, I just want to say, back in mid-January, I heard you say something somewhere the Emmanuel Quickley 6th Man of the Year odds were comically high. I did say that. So I guess good job by me. I logged onto FanDuel that day and threw a 50 spot on him at plus. Am I getting this right? Is it plus 16,000? Plus 16,000 means you, sir, are going to be a very, very happy man. Oh, you won if he wins. Wow. I'm rooting for you, bud. I am absolutely rooting for you. Good job by you. ML Nair, Tibbs at the start of the second overtime must have told the team to let IQ take the shot or decide who does. I hope so. One way or another, they figured it out. I guess you call that an adjustment. I don't know. Thanks, ML. Appreciate you. Kevin Danishevsky, I want to give Josh Hart and Quentin Grimes their flowers. Quentin Grimes is my boy and played great D for most of the game. He'll learn. Yes, he will. Josh Hart is a player 29 other teams wish they had. Yeah, and credit to, you just reminded me, credit to our pregame show guest, Dan Favale, who admitted he was very critical of the Josh Hart acquisition when the Knicks made it, and it was more like, well, what's the point of this? Well, he was the missing piece. He's the missing piece. He's the missing piece in every way. No disrespect to Deuce McBride, who came in, and it was a reminder when Deuce came in. It's like every time Deuce came in, you were kind of like, you were praying, okay, Toby hit some shots, right? Because if he doesn't hit shots, it's like, it's tough to have a positive impact, even with what he brings on the defensive end. And I think also, like, watching Deuce and watching Josh Hart is a reminder that just because you have really, really high-level defensive skills, and Deuce does have high-level defensive skills and abilities, there is a certain just level of experience that needs to be there, and like reps. And Deuce doesn't have a lot of game reps. And I'm happy he got game reps this year, and that'll serve him in the long run. But like Josh Hart's just like a much more complete and aware and reliable defender, even at this point, to say nothing of what else he does on offense. So, Josh Hart, absolutely great trade by the front office. Fantastic trade. At this rate, they're going to give up a pick in the 20s for him, which is wild. Charm City Knicks fan. Proud to call IQ a Charm City guy. Close enough, anyway. Let's freaking go. Hashtag 6th Man of the Year. Because he's from like the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area. So it's a good call. Oscar De Leon. Hi, IQ. Love it. Maybe that's the newsletter. Man, what am I going to title the newsletter tomorrow? Hi, IQ. Cloud 9 in a row. A lot of choices here. Thanks, Oscar. Andrew SRGO. SGRO. Sigro? Knicks Film School is 53 wins. Why not us? Why not us that's a pretty good slogan. Why not us? Buck Foston. That's another good one. That's a good slogan. As Andrew just texted me. Thanks, Andrew. Dom Cappuccini with another one. A coworker who's a Celtics fan. Thank you again, Tom, by the way. Said our last win was luck based off of missed open threes. I can't wait to see him tomorrow. I can't wait to see what ESPN says. IQ is the best draft pick in a long time, and the league has been put on notice. We can certainly talk about how Manuel Quickly plus 135 now to win. Jesus Christ. 6th man of the year. I mean, again, it's like start getting out the lists of like best draft picks to go after the 20th pick in the last 10 years. He's going to start being on those sorts of lists. And there's nothing lucky about, like, over the course of a full season, all this stuff evens out. Hey, you know what? You know what you should tell your friend? You should tell your friend, hey, you remember the first win of the year when you guys made 27 three-pointers to beat the Knicks, and the Knicks were still, by the way, still in that game in the fourth quarter? Go back and tell your friend, one, that they suck, and two, that game was lucky, that win was lucky. And that we should be 4-0 against the Celtics this year. Thanks, Tom. I-95 Bully. I love the look on Randall's face. He wasn't rattled. Some execution issues down the stretch, but he hit big free throws. RJ looked engaged. I love it. Say it again, man. 4 big free throws. 4 big trips to the line. Needed every one of those free throws to be made. He made every one. Julius Randle, again, he has – there are ways he can improve. There are ways he can improve. But has come a long way. And I have full faith in him. Moving forward, he'll continue to learn and get better. Thanks, I-95 Bully. Appreciate you. Ben Kim Gervey. What's going on, Ben Kim Gervey? Predicted 47 wins in preseason. Good job by you. Doubled down on it in early December. I may have to revise my prediction upwards. Hashtag 47 wins. Hashtag Knicks culture. So, again, they're at 39 right now. I don't want to count any chickens before they're hatched. To get to 47 wins, they would need to win. They would need to go 8 and just, what was it, 8-8, right? Yeah, they would need to go 8-8. I think, unless I can't do math, which is entirely possible because it's almost 2 a.m. 35. So that'd be 47, 35. Yeah. So I think you got a 8-8. Yeah. I think you got a pretty good shot at 47. I would put that right now probably as the floor as far as like what I would be okay with right now. I mean, the goalposts are always changing, right? The goalposts are always changing. They need to go 1-15 to hit the Vegas over. I like those odds. But like, yeah, I like even sitting here right now, as well as they've been playing, there was a part of me that was like, is like, just go over 500 the rest of the way. You know, if they go over 500 the rest of the way, that puts them at 48 wins. Again, really tough schedule down the stretch. I know we're all thinking bigger than that. I get that. But there was a small part of me. That is like, because again, what do we want? I want to get in the 4-5 matchup. That's what I want. I want to get in the 4-5 matchup, and then you go from there. Thanks, Ben. Also, you never know with health down the stretch. James Choi, F. Marcus Smart. You had a chance to go 4-0, Macri. Be the change you want to see. Oh, God. You have to rub it in, James. Better game plan for IQ. No one wants to see us in the playoffs. I dumb fucked up. I done fucked up. Thank you for reminding me, James. Appreciate you. James Choi with another one. Chasers has IQ as the leader for six man. Yeah, we just read the thing. He deserves it. He's the sixth man of the year. He is the sixth man of the year. Game over. Game over. Jibo. Reminder, Ainge wanted RJ, IQ, Evan plus 3 picks. Danny Ainge, man. I mean, he got Lauri Markkanen out of it. Lauri Markkanen is like in the running for an All-NBA team. Let's just say that. Lauri Markkanen is in the running for an All-NBA team. That's not crazy. That might happen. It certainly can't be ruled out right now. So, like, Danny Ainge got himself an All-NBA player plus all the picks. But I don't think it was. I mean, he wanted quickly, but also don't forget there was the original rumor that he would have settled for RJ, Grimes, and 2 firsts. And then the Knicks, I think, came back with quickly. So, like, you could say what you want about Ainge, but, like, I really don't think the Knicks quite fully knew what they had until this season. So, bad job by them, but good job by them to get us to this point. Thanks, Shibo. Dom Cappuccini with another. Dom, you didn't take my advice, Dom. Thank you so much for the generosity, man. Seriously, thank you. Means a lot. Means a lot. Good night, everyone. Orange and blue skies on tomorrow's sunrise. The playoffs look bright, and the future looks blinding. That's a great line. Who won't want to play with this group? Hashtag we back. I like it. The playoffs look bright, and the future looks blinding. That's good. Appreciate you, Dom. Jack Weltzman, I love life. Thanks for being the voice of the New York Knicks. Oh, Mike, Mike Breen would like a word. I'm not gonna wax poetic, but just thank you everybody for watching. That's all. Thank you everybody for watching. Benjamin Ridholtz. Hello, Benjamin Ridholtz. Thank you for your generous contribution. I appreciate you. What would happen? Oh, here we go. What would happen to SGA if he played 55 minutes? Let's go through the things. He would, someone would disintegrate. I think Sam Presti would probably disintegrate first. I saw your tweets and I appreciated them about OKC practicing load management from here on in with or having SGA on a minutes limit. Yeah, it's great that we have an organization and a coach with a mentality and players, obviously players that have the mentality of like, let's play the games. Like I get it. There's, I'm sure, scientists who are looking at what we're doing and being like, you fools. I don't know. I appreciate when my basketball team, the players on it, play basketball games. And if their body allows them to play a lot of minutes, they play them. Andrew Claudio just texted me that you're playing more minutes tonight than SGA will the rest of the season. I'm not the one who called. Who said what was your prediction on Patreon? That I don't know. You were saying something about the Thunder being a threat because or SGA. Yeah, tankity tank, Andrew. Tankity tank. Thanks, Benjamin. Andrew, thank you for the contribution. All considered, who's their fourth best player? Who is the Knicks' fourth best player? That's a great question. I'm putting RJ. It's not RJ, based on how he's played this year. I think he may still turn out to be maybe even more than their fourth best player. Maybe even better than that. It's Josh Hart or Mitch. That's a great question. I mean, like comparing a center to a wing is like, it's just hard. since he's come here, it's been Josh Hart. But I mean, Josh Hart has hit. I mean, he's just shot it so well. That's really good question. And there is a part of me that feels like I'm being disrespectful to RJ, even with how he's played this season, because I do have that much faith in his ability. He could flip a switch right now and turn into one of their top 3 players from here until the rest of the season. I'm going to go with Josh Hart. That's my answer. Final answer. Thanks, Andrew. Kelvin Lugway. I was late to work, but totally worth it. I'm the only Knicks fan in my family, so I have nobody to share all the energy with. God bless KFS. Thank you. Thank you, Kelvin. And I feel like that's the best. Those are the best compliments that we get, is that people who feel like we give them the community that to be a part of, to share this with. And that goes for both like bad times, right? Someone you want to come and bitch and moan to, and for good times as well. Better in good times, obviously. And I'm glad you're here with us, and I'm glad we could provide that for you. And it's a big family here. That's all it is. I may not know you guys personally, but I feel like I do. God knows you know me. Thank you, Kelvin. John Kaywood, what's going on, John? Was at the Garden tonight. You were at the Boston Garden tonight, or TD Garden tonight, or whatever the name they give it. If you were at the Garden tonight, I hope you were watching the game on a television set. Randall needs to rest Tuesday. Man was icing them knees every time out, or every time he was out of the game. It's not crazy. I would say yes. I would say 100% yes. I just wonder, does the 82 games thing, does that mean something to him? And maybe it does. And honestly, like, because like, again, like, nobody plays every game anymore. For all we know, like, I forget who was the last. Andrew may know this. Who was the last pitcher to, like, whether it was like, I don't know, make a certain number of starts? I feel like there was one pitcher who was like the last pitcher, whether it was to like make a certain number of starts in a season, or like maybe like pitch 30 complete games or something like that, or 20 complete games or something. But like, I feel like there's a chance, a not insignificant chance, it's going to happen one of these years, right? One of these years, someone's going to play 82 games, and then we're going to look back and be like, oh, wow, that was the last time that ever happened. Someone's going to be the last person to ever do it. I'm convinced someone's going to be the last person to ever do it. And it's going to be in the not too distant future. And you could tell me it's this year. All that being said, could Randall use a night off? Absolutely. Thanks, John. I always screw this up. L Coriano 11. IQ extension less than or equal to the Maxi extension. That's a good one. I think that's a great question. I would say Maxi probably gets more. But Quickly might really get a $100 million contract. So I can't believe I'm saying that. It's not insane. I don't think he will. I think he'll come in under 100, but I could be wrong. Good question. ML Nair. The Knicks were dead in the water in the third quarter when IQ just put the Knicks on his back, both offensively and defensively, and brought them back. I'm so happy you mentioned that, and I tried to mention it offhandedly earlier, and I didn't do a good enough job emphasizing it. There's a chance without Emmanuel Quickly that the Celtics go up by 20 by the end of the third quarter, and this game's a blowout. Emmanuel Quickly saved the game, and then he saved the game again, and then he saved the game again. Pretty nice night for the kid. Thanks, ML. Matt, Aussie Knicks fan. I love this team. I love KFS. I can't stop smiling. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, here we go. This is from Andrew. Keep smiling. Last pitcher to throw 30 complete games was Catfish Hunter in 1975. I knew there was a big name guy who did that. The last pitcher to throw 300 innings was Steve Carlton in 1980. Yeah, so like those are some big names. Catfish, Steve Carlton. So someone's going to be looked at as like that of the NBA. See who it is. Maybe it's Randall. Thanks, Matt. Sam Garcia's dad with another one. With this win, the Knicks just won my preseason totals win bet or win total bet. The total was 38.5. Thank you, Knicks. The line I saw was 38.5, and I think maybe 39.5. Those were the two lines that I saw. So good job by you getting it at 38.5. Ryan Sartor. What's going on, Ryan? What a game! I explained Emmanuel Quickley's performance to my girlfriend by comparing it to Cuba Gooding Jr.'s big game at the end of Jerry Maguire. Hashtag 53 wins. I love that you went to a notable romantic comedy that is also a sports movie, because what girl hasn't seen Jerry Maguire? I mean, I love Jerry Maguire also. It's a great movie. I'm trying to think if there's another romantic comedy that has a big sports element to it that you could make that sort of comparison to. My mind just went to Varsity Blues, but I feel like did the Vanderbeek character have a big game at the end of that one? I don't think he did. What was the Freddie Prinze Jr. movie? Was that clearly by choosing Jerry Maguire, you chose the right one? I'm just wondering if there were any other possibilities of like romantic comedies that were like sports movies. Oh, there we go. Andrew Claudio with a good one. Forget Paris, Billy Crystal and Deborah Winger. Enjoyable movie, at least when I remember seeing it when I was younger. Yes, with this officiating tonight, Forget Paris is in play. And Summer Catch. I knew it was Summer Catch. I wanted to say it was Summer Catch, but I wasn't sure. I believe that was Jessica Biel. But again, the thing I remember about that game, about that movie at the end is Ken Griffey Jr. goes yard on Freddie Prinze Jr. when he finally makes it to the majors. But I think he has a good game at the end of it. It's very sad that I know all these things. Thank you, Ryan. Great job by you. Will Oliver, what is the longest winning streak a team has been on directly following a trade? Hart has to be up there, and people were worried about giving up a pick. Yes, it was Jessica Biel. Thank you. Mrs. Timberlake. So I want to, I don't know if I have time to look this up right now because I am not sure. Well, you know, we're past the 3-hour mark. What's another couple of minutes, right? And Andrew just texted me, the movie comp for Quickly is Die Hard. I love it, Andrew. Yes, that is correct. So the one I'm thinking of, yes, here it is. So Dave DeBuscher, who shout out to, what was it, DBN 123, one of my newsletter readers, who I think was the first person way back when who made it the DeBuscher comp to the Hart trade. Dave DeBuscher, to be clear, top 75 player of all time, Hall of Famer, fourth greatest Knick ever. Like, Dave DeBuscher is fucking awesome. But, so Knicks traded for him. His first game, ironically enough, was against the Pistons team that had just traded him. The Knicks won that game by 48 points. DeBuscher went 9 for 15, played 37 minutes, had 21 and 15. That was the first of 8 straight wins by the Knicks after the DeBuscher trade. Make sure I got that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 straight wins by the Knicks after the DeBuscher trade. They lost then in Chicago by 1 point to end the 8-game winning streak, a game that DeBuscher played 43 minutes in at 15 and 14. And then after that loss, they won another 6 games in a row. So following the DeBusschere trade, the Knicks won 14 out of 15 games with a 1-point loss in between, but they won 8 in a row. But the Knicks have now exceeded that 8 in a row to win 9 in a row. To answer your question about, is this like better than any other trade in terms of like most wins consecutively after a trade? I don't know. I don't even know how I would go about finding that out. Great question, though. Charles Berg, cheers to all tonight. What a win. I joined the stream late. Did anybody bring up Mitchell Robinson driving to the basket from the free throw line? We are 190 minutes into this post-game live stream, and somehow, some way, that's how big of a game Emmanuel quickly had. That's how big of a win this was. Nobody has brought it up. Thank you for bringing it up, Charles Berg. Amen to you. MVP of the night. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You share that award with Emmanuel quickly. What a freaking moment for Mitchell Robinson. Yes. What a player. JJK44. Smart's defense is infuriating. IQ dancing on the 1 seed in crunch time is peak vibes. Only thing that would have made this game better is Mike and Clyde. Yeah, that would have been cool. But Smart's defense, I mean, if he was on our team, we'd probably love him. Okay, we're getting down to it. JJK, thank you. Andrew Claudio, you're right. Kudos to my coach, Johnny Bryant, for turning this around. Hashtag fire tips. Listen, Johnny Bryant should get all the credit in the world. He clearly, the article that came out, or the interview or whatever it was, came out a few weeks ago. Again, my brain is mush. Johnny Bryant's had a massive impact on Julius Randle. And he deserves all his flowers, along with the head coach. Thank you, Andrew, for the triggering super chat. Alex just woke up to catch a plane, and you're still on, John. You're an animal. There had better be Wi-Fi on the plane so I can watch the game. P.S. No spoilers. Sorry. Thanks, Alex. And I got to write a newsletter still. It's 2 a.m. Man, am I going to work tomorrow? This should be fun. Haitian Ferg, just for you, bro. Get some rest, brother. I will sleep at some point eventually. Thank you, Haitian. I am just happy that tomorrow I only have the pod with Jeremy and Andrew tomorrow night, and tomorrow night may be an early night for me. I will just say that. And or a nap at some point will happen. Okay. I think this is it. APJP invitation to come up, and if you want to do a dance or say anything about Emmanuel quickly, you're more than welcome. If not, that's fine too. Always like to extend the invitation. But here's what I will say to end it tonight. First of all, if you're still watching, God bless. Thank you. Again, I read the stats off before about where we are in terms of the podcast ranks. It's staggering, the support that we get, and I'm just really honored and privileged that we are your choice or one of your choices for how to share in what is happening with this team, which leads me to the second thing that I will say and end on. This is why you watch sports. This is why you watch sports, to be a part of moments like this, to witness games like this, nights like this, to share in nights like this with other people who you know, whether they're 5,000, they could be 5,000 miles away. Can you be 5,000 miles away? Is there any place on the earth that's 5,000 miles from any place else? It probably is. Whatever. You can be far away from the person and know, and that's what makes sports great, is like, and it's unlike anything else because you're having the exact same experience as them. You could be halfway across the world. And to have those experiences with this Knicks team is after you have to bring it up. the last 20 plus years. It's been rough. I'll say it again. They owe us this. So enjoy it, take it in. I'm just enjoy it. Thank you, Emmanuel, quickly. You are all of our godson, I guess, tonight. See you guys later.